but the fundamental aspects are still the same. We clarified also about the landscaping and guardhouse, where we go with the deed and the conveyance to the master association. And so again, what you'll see in front of you, the red line version, are subject to WCI's further review. They had comments also on the quitclaim deed, and some language that was taken out they may want put back in. So that again, that's sort of in the state of flux, but I'll call the principal components of these documents as of this date remain the same as far as the approach. And again, we're waiting back for some further comments from Charles and or his client. So I just want to let you see where we are to date. And we'd ask the board basically to approve these in substantially final form so we can keep moving forward. And that with the revisions that you see in front of you red line, if there are any substantial changes, we will come back to you. And again, substantially final means that the overall substance of it will not materially change. If we need to change certain terminology or certain time frames that are not material to the transaction, then that would cover it's like what we do with bond issues, that these are in substantially final form. So that's what we're requesting the board if you have any questions. Otherwise, we ask you to approve and adopt resolution 2025-15, approving the pre-litigation agreement and form of the documents in substantially final form with the revisions as handed out to you in the red line version today.
The blue line or the red line?
The blue, orange, red, whatever color it is, yes.
Yeah, that's what I...
And again, for example, the language that is taken out at the bottom of the quitclaim deed is something that it's not material from the district's perspective. So that was to go back in. I would not say it's material or substantial. So if it's in or out, from the district's perspective, the district's neutral on it. It may be something that U.S. Home and Stony Brook have an issue with regards to, but that's, again, I'm looking at it from the district's perspective.
I so move that we accept the pre-litigation.
Can I have one?
With the changes as
One
noted?
clarification.
I have one question. I talked to JT about this. I don't know if it was related to Katie yet, but I would like a joint communication drafted between both parties to notify the residents if this comes to fruition, if you approve this today.
To give it to the residents
To know.
before we approve?
No. If you approve it,
After approve,
that
okay, that's fine.
we work with the HOA as a joint communication to notify the residents of what.
We collaborated on, work cooperatively.
Yes.
Second Bob's
And,
motion.
and we're okay with that? JP, is okay with that? Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. No other questions? We'll go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. I also want to appreciate the assistance of Katie and Ellen on the East Coast. They've been working diligently and hard on this, so I appreciate that.
Yes.
Same thing. Finally done.
We're getting there.
We get it.
But yeah, we still have, again, I think we're all in Ohio, just have the WCI.
Clock is ticking.
I understand. It's been ticking.
All right, thank you, Katie. Thank you, JP.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so go ahead and have advisory committees and items to report and Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee monthly report.
So Paul is here. Paul, I don't know if you want to present the Parks and Rec report.
The report, yeah. We'll move on to the presentation. Hi everyone, Paul Leogrand, 12504 West Haven Way. I'm here on behalf of the Parks and Rec Committee. Just a little background, I'll wrap it in as we go into the presentation. I'm also the president of the HOA over in West Haven. I am the chairperson of the Parks and Rec Committee. Okay, so last month we did meet. We spoke about some upcoming events. We're preparing for our red, white pool that's coming up. And we had some fun discussions on how we can enhance that for the community. We're talking about getting some t-shirts made for ourselves to represent Gateway, just so people know that, they can come to us if they have any questions during the event. We'll be helping, coordinate through the MC and go back and forth handing prizes out and all that. Anywhere that we're needed on top of all the volunteers that so graciously join us. So that's the big priority right now. We did also, we had a few changes and one we'll present to you today. Well, Ed Moore He is our vice chair. His term was up, and he absolutely was excited to re-up that. He wants to stay, so we're presenting him for another term. Also, Joseph Schofield wanted to join in, so we approved to present him to you all today to see if we can bring him in as a committee member. Other than that, we had some budget planning prioritizations. We're looking at the capital improvement plan. We're trying to see where we fit into the budget, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in the proposal that we have for the pavilion. And yeah, that's upcoming, 26, 27. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And community engagement, we were discussing the idea of an email blast to increase public awareness about the committee and its works. Our attendance has been low for the past few months. And that may be because, we're not in season anymore, who knows, but we really would like to boost the attendance on our meetings. We get a lot of feedback kind of secondhand, and we'd like people to come and contribute to the meeting. So we're talking about maybe doing an email blast for that, and also to promote upcoming events. It's cheap that way, and it's easy to kind of manage, right? Other than that, let's see here. That's the nuts and bolts of the report from last month. At this time, we'd like you to consider the members before we move on to the.
Separate.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that Mr. Schofield be added and approved as a member of PrAC.
And there's two.
There's two.
Oh, my
And
fault.
it's
Yeah.
actually an item, it's agenda.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know it was an agenda item.
Yeah. Do you want to skip to it right now, or do you want to just wait till we get there?
Yeah, let's
Yeah, sure, right now.
get it done. Yeah, so we have a motion to appoint Joe and Ed. We have a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so welcome back, Ed and then Joe.
Do you want to move to the community pavilion before you move to Pelican?
It's good to have the millennial generation represented.
We
So
scheduled
thanks
to
for-
see you.
Get it all done right now, and then,
Millennial.
because that other gentleman, he left, didn't he?
That's what I was gonna say. First, I wanted to address some of these concerns.
Okay.
Oh, good, thank you,
Okay,
appreciate
no
it.
problem, thank you.
So regarding the two other questions, one was a sound barrier between his property, and I just pulled up on LIPA what his property is. Between his property and what the pickleball courts are, there's a significant amount of space. So we have the entire length of the FPL easement, and in between the house and the FPL easement, there is a conservation area which is fully wooded. I see there's probably a wetland here because it looks kind of dry. And then we have an additional barrier, which this will be removed. I know you guys can see it.
I'm gonna pull it up. for you.
Okay, so this is the gentleman's
I'll bring it up on the
house,
screen.
and this is where the pickleballs are gonna go.
Does it give you a measurement?
It's
I
about
can't.
200, it's about 200.
So you
The
have,
right of way is 660, so divided by 3 is 220 yards. So you got 220 yards plus 50, 270, 275 yards
Yeah.
Yeah.
from his house to the.
And that's his house, but you have to start at the,
This
but
red
his house is the first house.
Yeah.
So you see like on that area, can you highlight the conservation area?
this here.
That's a natural buffer, yeah, right
It
there.
will
So
let
that-
me know, it just moves it a bit.
So that's what it is. So right there between the road and his house, that's a conservation area, so that's all wooded, and that would be your sound
Buffer,
area. That's
sound
about
area.
buffer. Then you have from the sidewalk all the way with the proposed pickleball, you want to highlight what the proposed pickleball is
So
going to be?
here,
It's right here. So the area they are going to be removing is all the invasive, see the area right here?
This?
All that's coming out because that's all the invasives. We just decided a few years back that we weren't gonna clean it up because in case we did develop, we were gonna pay for that removal twice, right? So there is already a buffer. I would consider a buffer with his house, but we as a board discussed, either fencing or an additional landscape buffer within the park itself. That would aid, but I think the best buffer will be what we already have.
this is where, I think I'd mentioned it before, and just to note, what the recommended sound space or buffer for pickleball is about 500 feet. That's on average what they say, 500 feet is the length that noise will travel when you play pickleball. And I just Googled it, so I mean, it's accurate plus or minus.
It's a lot louder than you expect it to be.
But it also depends on the surroundings. But this
No
is
water,
where,
yeah, there's no water here needed.
this is where I think might be a good idea for us to consider putting putting a berm
Burns.
raised on that side. On the back, there's nothing, FPO easement, there's
Well,
no reason to
across the
berm
street
on that side.
Valencia, if you look on the other side of Griffin Drive.
Yeah.
I don't think you can build a berm high enough to serve.
There's homes over there too, I don't know what.
That's-
Well, even if it's,
Don't think it'll work.
you don't think it'll buffer a little bit?
And that's what I was
Not high
thinking, even
enough.
an additional buffer of regular ficus, which, or.
Well, I'm talking about
Yeah.
a raised berm of
Plus
10 feet, and then, anyway, but someone smarter than me would
Well,
have
if
to
it's,
look
if it's
at that.
500 feet, if that's the generally accepted number, this is well over 500 feet.
It is, that's what. I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Over
I
500 feet.
estimated it at between,
Laura, can you
to
imagine?
your house, it's
No,
about
not on
2,300.
this. No, I pulled it up.
It's
in Google
about a
Maps.
half a mile to your house. So from the very
From there?
beginning, I think it's in between about 800 to 1,000 feet. So, I mean, it's outside the threshold, but it's something we need to pay attention
Can I try to?
Yeah,
So
I
pickleball
think
courts,
this is-
they have perimeter fencing around the courts. They do offer sound barrier. It's a double-sided sword because
You're talking about like a wind barrier.
people get hot, there's no wind that passes through, the pickleball players complain, so there are opportunities. Landscaping is a great one, the wetland is a great one, those sound barriers could assist as well, so it's definitely on our mind when this is constructed.
Okay, so I actually looked, sorry, Ed, because I remember visiting the property. You actually have Hampton Park, about 5 years ago, planted an entire hedge of calusas. So you have, so not only have they have the conservation right here, they have calusas, which they're probably 15 feet tall, and probably 6 to 18 feet wide. So they have that barrier plus that. That's this.
Go to the country club. Pan up and go down to the country club. You get an idea of what we got. We've got Calusas, we've got all of this.
And I really
Yeah,
don't
right
ever
down-
hear much from the.
Blow up that corner
Right here.
right down there where the pickleball court's at. No,
I don't really ever hear it.
No, you're right.
Oh,
Does your buffers work?
Oh, yeah, like.
We don't have a buffer.
Yeah,
That's
you
my
don't.
point. There's our pickleball court, and all the way on the south side of Gateway Greens Drive are Calusas, 10 to 12 foot high, the full length, and the 3 people that border up against that road are complaining about the noise.
They are complaining.
But you're within about 150 feet. Those 3 houses right there along the
These right
road.
here.
And it's Calusas everywhere. And it's not impacting. So I think that goes
Nothing from
along with
these
what you're
guys,
saying
right?
about the
Nothing
500
from
feet.
the, so when you get here, Ed, nothing from them?
These people, no, nothing
No,
over there.
yeah, and
You
that's
get
kind of
this
the
house,
distance,
this house,
this
this
is the
house.
distance
and
that
all
we're
of
looking
these.
for.
So I think, it sounds to me like what you're saying on that 500 is a reasonable number of what would be the differential on hearing it and it being offensive and not. And all of this stuff that we're talking about at the country club is well within 500 feet.
I think the good news is staff has already identified it. They are somewhat planning. We need to take proactive measures within reason, and then we monitor it, because there's, even after the fact,
We're gonna have to
we
be
can do
aware.
some things afterwards, like even planting more vegetation or do some
Well, the
additional.
wooden screens will help.
Show up the, put the Pelican.
I was gonna say, put the
courts.
palette so we can have an idea. Down.
They're up, yeah.
There, right here. Can't come far enough up the tree line.
Okay, on
they're
the
much
very, very
closer
top
to
of the
the
page, very, very top.
See, that's
Oh,
very
these-
close, yeah.
Okay, now, if you look at the original 6 courts, okay, those 6, they were very clearly heard and annoying by the homeowners on the
Yeah,
right-hand
but
side.
they're literally adjacent to it.
No, on the right, all you think you see there is town center.
This is
No,
town
Okay.
center.
go scan right.
No houses.
Keep going, yeah. Those houses that you see over that bridge, it was like it was in there all night.
Because you have the water too, yeah.
Yeah, the water.
There's very little
water
water
levels.
there. It's a lot of open space, but I think it's a lot more than 500 feet. And I'm not saying we should do something immediately, but be aware, and I think the Mahogany Run people are gonna be more, once it's installed, more subject to the noise than they will be. It's based on what we learned at,
The Mahogany Road people, which one's that, Bob?
going back.
It's on
to
the opposite
original.
side of the pool.
The opposite side of Griffin.
Yeah, we got
On yours.
a 7-foot wall. That makes a big
Oh,
difference.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
yeah.
We're gonna set
They have
people
a
off.
public-
The
I
people
couldn't
who will
see that.
have any impact will be the people. in
And you got
Eagle
road
Point.
traffic
Eagle
as
Point.
well, so you're not.
That's,
Mhm.
they're
Yeah,
the
I,
ones,
Eagle Point, I.
because they have the water that echoes it.
Yeah, 117th Street.
All right, so we're looking into it,
Yeah,
we'll communicate more as we
but
get.
smacking
closer to
those balls makes a lot of noise.
All right,
It's not like tennis, they're quiet.
And then
Can I speak
ours-
briefly?
I'm sorry.
Can I speak briefly?
Sure.
Okay. I'm a retired audiologist. I understand the 500 feet. They're trying to, at 500 feet, a noise that can be bothersome is reduced to 53 decibels. 53 decibels is fairly easy to hear. You're hearing me at about 72 to 74 right now. We can hear the singing from the church, and we can hear the kids in the pool. So pickleball is a lot noisier than the kids in the pool. So when you use that 500 feet to say, well, okay, we've met our criteria, that doesn't work. It's going to be noisy, and you're going to have some sort of a barrier in addition to the
So
collusives.
that's what we're saying. Parks and Recs Committee and staff are looking into it. That is
Okay.
something that was already
Yeah.
Okay,
on the
You're probably
plans.
correct.
We just don't know exactly what's going to be, but it's there. It's going to happen. We just don't know what it's going to be.
okay.
Okay?
Any idea on when it's going to be 25, 26, 27?
It's gonna be a year from now.
It'll be
I
open to
open a
play.
year from now. That's the expectation.
2026.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
One quick thing for the Parks and Rec, or even maybe for staff. This is the same, the red, white, and cool, same event we had last year, right?
Yeah.
Which was a huge hit, like, it was
Probably
packed.
the biggest one.
Yeah.
470 people
Yeah,
last
it
year.
was great. The only, because I took my boys there, the only thing is, if I were to make two recommendations, one, more activities within the perimeter of the pool, because we had the space that just wasn't leveraged out there, whether it's activities or even just getting a tent just for people to sit under, for when they're for eating and stuff. And the other is make more kind of structured pool games for the kids, just to keep them busy. But other than that, it was a great event, and I'm looking forward to this year's.
What do you think about the food trucks?
Well,
I'm just thinking price point.
The food trucks.
I mean, I don't remember the price being apart.
Yeah, I think the
You can
price
do-
point, I think like hot dogs and burgers, I think people were expecting
Here's what I would do.
Wasn't there Lee County free ice cream?
I can
Well,
get somebody to
yeah.
come out and cook hot dogs and hamburgers, sell them for a reasonable price.
Yeah.
And those money gets donated to one of the local organizations. I've got a group that'll probably do that. They would probably sell hamburgers for $2.50,
Great.
something, $2.50, $3.50 for a
Because
hamburger.
that was the feedback that I got from the people at the pool, because everything was like $12.
It was a concern, right.
And then, that was like the bare minimum, and then they had like 5 kids with them, and it was like literally $300, because then they wanted like 3 sodas, 2 ice creams and stuff like that, so if
It's been
anything,
very expensive.
because they had a lot of children, and they take 2 bites and they want something else, I would just say either that, or,
And there was something that we did.
we did
I mean,
years back when Mainscape,
We-
yeah, we used to
Well,
do similar.
but we
stuff.
also, when we did our summer event, when I used to lead a nonprofit for Gateway, we would have a chili cook-off at the event. So you had a lot of people cooking chili, and they were selling their bowl of chili really cheap. So, and that was a nice community event. We probably had 10 to 15 people participate for the chili cook-off, which was cool. I mean, it brought additional people out that may not have originally
It was
planned.
well attended. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. We had a few issues too with the food truck vendors. I know that there was a bunch of them that just bailed out on us. And so the more that we could kind of take in-house would be better, I feel, anyway, right? So I think we'll definitely talk about that on our next meeting, and I'll discuss with Carrie those options. That'd be great.
I'm gonna give you my number and let you and I
I'll give you my
connect.
card. Thank you.
How many hours do we have allocated for staff to be working that day?
I think the event's only like 4 hours.
The event's 4 hours, and I believe it's 1 before and 1 out, 1 after.
Okay, but how many staff? Like 1, there'll be 6, 2 will be 12. How many hours do you have allocated for staff to be at the
We'll have to
event?
find out from Carrie what the
Okay.
time is.
Was staff part of the parking? I think they were, if I remember correctly.
No, those volunteers.
Were they volunteers?
the Boy
Volunteers,
Scouts, maybe?
yeah, they're volunteers.
Normally, it's
Maybe
2.
1 or 2, yeah, so it's
2.
12 hours,
So,
yeah.
but I can find out from Carrie what the staffing plan is for them. But
She's
they are,
that's good.
between the
Thank you.
scouts and high schoolers that need hours, we have a lot of volunteers.
Yes. I was gonna say, we always have a lot of
You got lots of
volunteers.
kids over there.
They got friends.
All right, thank you, Paul.
Did we want to do the pavilion or?
Yes.
Oh.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
so we already did Pelican Preserve Advisory Committee.
Three.
No,
3 staff and 15 volunteers.
No, that's-
Oh, okay, that's what we
Good
have.
ratio.
so it's Carrie plus part-time.
And I'd love to get input, like Bob from Pelican, I know you guys do your own thing, but it would really be nice. to
One was there
have-
last year, I mean, it was a nice
Yeah,
event.
but it would be nice to have maybe even some activities or even some volunteers from Pelican, just to get them over to.
This is not the year to do that, let's just leave it at that. Are you?
Maybe we'll look at.
Joe's
5
gonna
years.
bring some friends over.
Yes.
Well, maybe Joe can work on it.
Yeah.
He'll be like, oh, there you go.
Joe, bring some of your.
Joe, bring some of your friends, make them all hungry.
Find
5 o'clock.
somebody
Joe, that's what it takes.
All
It's hard to
right.
find people.
Do you want to move to Pelicans about another report
We
next?
skipped it before.
Is there any questions you have for Pelican?
I don't. Good. No reports there, okay. And then we already did 7C?
Yep.
We'll go ahead and move to 7D, Paul again.
Thank you, everybody. Paul Leargren again, 12504 West Haven Way, the president of the HOA there. I am going to also mention that I am a real estate agent. I work and live in Gateway. I also have a music background, not an audiologist, but I do have a music background. I went to school for music education. So all of that is going to be important when we're discussing what we're proposing today as far as our next kind of really big initiative that Parks and Rec have been working on, right? So if we want to go to the next slide.
Sorry, my mouse.
Uh-oh. All right. So just a little bit about what we're proposing with this pavilion. The community pavilion proposal aims to enhance our neighborhood by establishing a dedicated multi-use gathering space. This pavilion will serve as a central hub for residents to come together, engage in community activities, and create meaningful connections. So the purpose, just really quick, I don't need to read word for word, but community events, right? So it's a space where we could have, we could host celebrations, neighborhood meetings, social gatherings. We could provide a safe and inviting space for families, children, and individuals to enjoy, and cultural educational programs offering a venue for performances, workshop, and learning opportunity. I'm going to go into a little more, detail of this. Let me just go to the next slide. We'll read through that. Okay, community benefits. Main community benefits: stronger community bonds, encourage residents to interact, collaborate, and build relationships. So increased property values. This is a huge thing. Being a real estate agent, I could tell you, and I'm sure no one is surprised, that property values have not been excellent in the past 2 years. And we need to stand out. And when I look around and I look at these other communities and I say, okay, why are people from out of state and all over Florida moving to the area? It's the amenities in one way or another, right? There's not many gathering spaces that exist in the communities near us. Something like this would set us apart. So definitely increased property values there. Events such as music, theater, storytelling, weddings, etc. could be held at such a venue. It's a safe and accessible gathering space, well-maintained area for informal and formal activities. Okay, so the idea, the concept here is that this structure would be there permanently, and we could use it for not only formal events that go through the board to, let's say, the high school wanted to do a wind ensemble kind of concert. They could do something like that. Or we wanted storytelling on a Saturday morning, right, where local authors can come and we could set them up on stage and families can come and read stories. Just a few ideas there. This project is a step towards creating a more connected, engaging, and vibrant community while adding long-term value to the neighborhood, right? So you could read through the project vision and goals. Right? Provide a safe, accessible area. So when we're talking about where we're looking to place this, I don't know if you want to bring up the map from before at the Commons area. There's a big chunk of space over by the pool and actually down the incline towards the water area. So we go back there.
I don't want to do it now.
You can see this on the images I provided here, also in the slide deck. But if you look at that, the area that kind of butts out into the water, that's all unused space. There's nothing that's designated to go there or exist there, right? The concept of this pavilion is that it would face the pool, so it would face up the hill, which is super important when we're talking about things like sound, right? It's not going to be blasted into any community. It's actually, if you think about an amphitheater kind of setting, right? The back of the pavilion would be towards the water, and the presentation or whatever was taking place would face the pool up that mound. So you have a lot of seating and space there where people could sit in front of this pavilion. We're also proposing some pathways to and from, and you'll be able to see that in the sheets that I gave you, that basically would connect the
existing one?
Yeah, it would connect the part that we're talking about in the back on one side, and then also to the parking lot and the pool.
And that's what, I was gonna say that I wanted to pull that map, because that, for people that don't know, that is within the design already.
Yeah.
There.
Yep, sorry.
You're
Yeah,
gonna like
that
it?
path. There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go. So you can just point it out, like.
Point it out.
So the path is here, right? The path's already
Yeah,
right
parking
there.
lot there.
Where is the pavilion on that picture there?
So the
Right there.
pavilion would be right here,
That's what I
facing
thought.
this way.
And then I think Doug had mentioned concern about the sidewalk, so it wouldn't be a long walk, and this would meet that concern, because we would just extend the existing one.
Yeah,
The only issue we have is you gotta watch this kind of a design, and I don't know if Paul knows about this, but we got a 20-foot LME. That cannot be there, so it's gotta be, the structure's gotta be moved up that hill, so you lose that, that distance of
Yeah,
property.
20
It's always an engineer that wants to ruin the party.
However,
Always an engineer who wants to ruin the party.
But the path's gotta be big
Just,
enough to
just
accommodate
the
vehicles.
rules.
Yeah.
Ed, but let me mention this, the concept that we came up with actually has the path going behind it. So,
It's right here.
so the path would be behind the pavilion, so you could actually walk around the
So-
back of
so-
And
it.
that's all engineering and design.
Right,
figure
that's
out. This is
exactly-
conceptual.
this
and
is
I
just
think-
concept.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're definitely gonna
20
need
feet
vehicles.
LME,
Sound
it's
systems.
nothing.
It's nothing.
The area, I mean, I've been there, the area is huge, so 20
Yep.
feet, we'll give it 40,
A longer,
plenty.
yeah.
you know?
Exactly, exactly. So just a little bit, I know we're gonna have questions, I have space for questions at the end. The concept is, if we look down, I have some images also in the slides, but I want to get to really laying out what this thing will be. It's, let me see where it is, medium-sized wood block and stucco structure sitting on a slab adjacent to the pond. Okay, so it's actually under budget and funding sources. So if you keep on going down, there's some images in there, so you can kind of see where the pond is and then what it would look like if you were facing down. So the people in the second image are looking down at the pavilion. So also you'll notice that there are wings on the side of the pavilion to help with sound too, okay? Dave Ruth helped us, he's an architect, he was on the committee, he did step down recently, but he helped us design this. So again, just concept phase, right? But we put these wings in to prevent sound, allow people to still walk on that path behind without being kind of bombarded with the noise. And also, a neat thing is behind those wings, the concept would be to put some kind of closets, right? So we could do some basic storage in there if we wanted to put chairs out or tables, because this pavilion, when not in use for a formal event, can definitely, we could set out some chairs and, you know, just provides a little bit of shade if people wanted to go down for lunch. It's part of the problem that we see over at the pool, right? People want to spend the day at the pool, but then they're eating at the pool, and then the birds are coming, and then it's all like, it's a mess. So this gives them a space to go that they can walk to, down to a quieter area when it's not being used for a formal event, and it makes sense. All right. A little bit more on the structure. We're talking about, if you scroll down after the photos, yeah, right there. So new community pavilion was conceived as simple, medium-sized wood block and stucco structure sitting on a slab, right? Bullet point 2, it's a modern open pavilion that is approximately the size of a basic 2,000 square foot gateway stucco home. So the idea is that we would also construct it to kind of match what we're looking for and what our current structures exemplify. The front of the pavilion should allow visitors to sit on a downward sloping lawn, so that's why it's kind of the perfect area, right? Just like an amphitheater, any kind of sound, if it was to be like a musical event, would go right into the lawn in that case. And the front of the design would be 16 feet high by 34 feet wide. The rear would be 12 feet high, so that would basically be sloping like a pergola kind of style and 34 feet wide. This is, when you look at stages, performance stages for theater, this is more than enough space for that type of thing. It's also really good when you're thinking about things like weddings, right? You could definitely have a wedding up there. There's more than enough space to house something like that, which is really good. Simple pavilion structure, landscaping should be added into the 2026 Commons Park community budget. This obviously will be pushed to 2027. We're proposing that it could be considered for that time range. That price is just approximate based on a common single family home, again, 2,000 square feet. Will it vary a little bit? Yes. I think that we could do a lot regarding funding this, that is not directly out of our pockets. I think since I've been living here, what we are missing is the ability to contribute to these types of things. You know, when we're looking at our parks, communities love to contribute, whether it be in the construction process or whether it be sponsorship, you know, like buy a brick, have your family represented in this kind. So there's a whole bunch of things that we can do that I feel like we haven't done when we're looking at something like this. This will create, at the core, a sense of community, right? People are gonna feel like they own it. It's there to use. And I think as far as the community goes, it is something that is available to Gateway. So we're talking about, again, putting this behind the fence of Commons. So it's not something that, you know, we should have to worry about late at night, people getting in there and doing mischievous stuff. The idea is that you would need a key card to get into that entire complex over there. Now, it doesn't mean we're gonna not allow outside people in, right? We don't shut the gates for Winterfest. We don't shut the gates for Red, White, and Cool. Everyone can come. Those are formal events that we would, of course, manage that. That's just about it. Some time for questions, anything I can answer. Again, we're really super early on this, so I don't know if I can answer anything, but if you have.
I just have a question on the money. That was not Tetra Tech, right? That was you guys.
That was just us. That's not ballpark.
That ballparking is actually very similar to what we got from them 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's just us ballpark.
From Home on This, that's what I was looking at, yeah. So it's within the ballpark. I mean, it's not exact same design
Sure.
layout, but it gives you an idea. That's what you're looking at, 500,000. All right, I don't have any.
No,
I think
thanks
it's a
for-
great idea.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
So do you want any action from us for this, or just?
The next item, yeah, I'll address 7E. Eric Schilling is here with FPL. So FPL, Pelican was contemplating the main thoroughfares through Pelican Reserve Boulevard, Cypress Grove, and Prado. All are district-owned street lighting. PPAC and the Safety and Security Subcommittee have initiated this project. We reached out to Eric with FPL to provide some pricing and plans, just like we did the conversion of the Greater Gateway side. This presentation went through the Safety and Security Subcommittee, which was recommended to PPAC for approval. PPAC is recommending approval of this to the board. I believe they are looking to start this project this fiscal year utilizing their capital reserves. This will get Pelican out of Gateway, out of the street lighting business in Pelican. It'll be all FPL. All of their side streets and neighborhoods are already FPL. It's just these main thoroughfares.
No more Bentley Electric and.
So be unified, just like this side.
And so part of what prompted this was we received some astronomical quotes for pulling wire because there were long strings of lights that were out. And so what prompted the Safety and Security Subcommittee of PPAC to question, hey, we need to look at converting this, again, recommended from all of those that I mentioned. Staff recommends to support it as well. I believe the tentative timeframe for completing this would be basically a year, Eric, right? Yep. Just like with the district side, there's a contribution to native construction, so it's about 200, I think it's 250, 163, 50 of that is a deposit, could get it back as long as there's no issues, and looking for your approval on this.
How's it gonna be funded?
They're gonna pay for it from their reserves.
They're unassigned for Pelicans.
What's the total, how many lights total?
180 something?
118, isn't it?
Just make sure you're against yourself.
Eric Culling, FPL LED Lighting Solutions, would be 112 decorative units, and I believe it's
17
I
from
was,
the head.
yeah, I believe 17 post-op units at the very end of the
So
project.
total cost of the project?
Less, the 50,000 of that 250 is a deposit just for incidentals, so it could be as low as 200,000.
There's a $50,000 contingency that we have.
Yeah, with that doesn't buy this project. It's gotta be a lot more than that.
Well,
A couple $1 billion.
That's just.
so this is the upfront, that's the upfront cost for the underground infrastructure that we'd be putting in place. And then same as the existing neighborhood lighting or the lighting that we're
So you're
installing.
basically going to debt finance the
There's a month-
$4 million that it takes.
There's a
to
monthly
actually
cost.
build this. Okay.
Exactly, same,
That's all in the
Same as
record.
Leeway,
that's
Yeah.
correct.
Do what?
same as what we did here.
Same as
Okay.
Gator.
Well, these are, I believe, a little bit more expensive than the ones we.
I budgeted, just based on some other municipal contracts, $1.8 million for a like for like. That was my estimate based on existing municipal contracts.
The biggest difference with this one is Pelican loves their decorative lights. We
Yes.
went standard concrete on our side. They're choosing to go the post-op and decorative to match the existing that's out there. They do recognize that there's some
If they're paying
additional.
for it, that's their call.
That's what they want.
And with the cost that we're facing with all the power breaks we have today, I mean, the
You're gonna need
system's
to-
25
you
years
need
old.
to-
We have to do
you have to do
something,
something.
no matter what.
It's kind of, it's actually
The
the same
timing is
position,
perfect.
same position we were, and that's why we did it.
So I do have to commend Mr. Ed Hedges because he did take the lead on this, working directly with Eric and working through some of the details of the light fixtures and numbers, et cetera.
I'd like to recognize that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendous help.
Tremendous resource for the community.
Absolutely. So we're looking for your approval.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the streetlight conversion project, at least the start of it.
I'll second your motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
I think they're gonna try and get some money in June. I believe that was the timeframe.
We'll work
After this
through,
meeting, they're gonna,
we've got to work through the paperwork and then initiate the project and then send the money and then they can get started on their side.
All right, so we'll go ahead
Thanks,
and
Eric.
we'll move to approve of minutes. Does anybody have any?
Just one thing before we go on to that. Go back to the map. I wanted to make sure I understood, because it wasn't all roads, it was just certain roads in
Yeah.
Pelican this is being
not the
done.
town center.
It's
but
just the main,
So-
yeah, I'll blow it up.
I understand the road coming in, obviously, and then the road going out toward Prado and Pistoia.
Right.
And it stops right there. But then it goes back down the road across the flowway,
This, you're talking
paying
there?
up a little bit. Yeah, I didn't,
It
that's
was all the way to
one
the
that I
end
didn't understand. What
of Plaza.
differentiated why it went up some side roads and other side roads it didn't?
So the main thoroughfares are district-owned lightings right now. That Benito one, that little
This
leg
little
right here by the
right
town
here.
center, those are not FPL lights right now. And so again, trying to be uniform.
So it's district-owned
Correct.
roads, period.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
So it doesn't go to the town center, it doesn't go to
it does.
those amenities.
All right.
But it does go all the way down to the end of Palazzo.
Yeah, go paying up.
Which is appropriate because the district has.
There it goes all the way
Yeah.
down
So it
to
goes
the.
all the way from one end to the other,
Yep.
with none of the feeder roads.
Gotcha.
All right, so let's go ahead and move to approval of minutes. I need a motion for approval of minutes, March 13th and April 30th.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there's two meetings.
Consent agenda items, so we have Tetra Pak.
Only thing I had on that was not to pull it or anything, but I find it amazing. Those prices were so drastically different. I mean, when you have bids on something like this, it's very well defined. and you're getting ranges of cost of 10 to 1. What am I missing here? Why is one guy doing it for 184,000 and another guy wants 1.8 million? What's going on? Did we talk to anybody to find out why this company? I know we talked to the firm and talked to a couple of reps, but man, that unit price seems immensely low.
Stephen Agapi is on mine.
Tetra Tech.
Good afternoon.
Stephen, did you want to
Hang on,
take,
they got the speaker set up weird.
Stephen, did you want to take this or you want me to take it?
Hang on.
No, I can-
Hang on.
So,
Usually if you talk to the second or third low bidder when you're off that far, somebody will say something or somebody will do something to give you some hint. Maybe this guy's hungry and he's getting ready to go out of business if he doesn't get the job. I don't know. All I know is that price, that unit price for doing televising is immensely cheap. That scares me.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Stephen Agapi, Tetra Tech. So we have worked with Atlantic Pipe on multiple projects in the past with other clients, and they're a good firm. We have had no problems with them. Yesterday and today, we had bid openings for another client for CCTV of sewer. And the low bidder on the first round a couple months ago was not the low bidder this time around. They were much higher, and that's just because they can afford to be higher because they have the work, and if they're going to win the job, they might as well make it worth it. So they bid it higher. So I think it just comes down to their people's workload and how badly they want it.
They're not subbing this out to somebody, are they?
No.
I didn't hear what he said.
No.
We done know?
no, he
That'd be
He
said,
said no.
no,
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 they're not subbing it. Okay.
Correct.
So staff supports Tetra Tech's recommendation on 9B, and then obviously we're requesting 9A for
Well,
every.
it's almost crazy to not take the price. I mean, it's a lot of money. You can almost do double the amount of work and you're still haven't even got to the second low bidder.
Yep.
All right. So I need a motion.
Motion to approve,
9A and B.
9A and B.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second by Bob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. All right.
Send them a Christmas card.
District engineer. Holiday, right? Go ahead, Stephen.
All right, this is our task authorization update. First project up is irrigation pump station generator. Contractor today received word from permitting department that their electrical permit was rejected. They have one comment. I reviewed the comment, and it appears that all they need to do is include their shop drawing from the generator that they purchased. So we're going to respond back to them today, and hopefully they can get that resubmitted as soon as possible. Irrigation enforcement improvements, we're working through still with HMGP and CDBG for funding. We're going to be submitting for SRF funding, which will go to SRF in June for the August hearing. Lower Hawthorne Well, trades are wrapping up. I know electrical was out there this week working. Next step would be to finish grading electrical, and then the fence can go in and that project will be wrapped up. Gateway Utility Storage Building, the building has been erected. They were working on electrical improvements, and I know they also have to do landscaping for this also. Gateway Admin Building, this task item is going to get removed from the tracking list. It's being replaced by the park TA, so I'm going to skip that one. Phase 2, Year 2 Lake Bank Restoration, that's lakes 127 and 130. Met Towers Lakes, those are complete. We did a walkthrough a couple weeks ago. All the remaining items on those lakes have been completed, so we're just doing paperwork at this point to wrap those up. FY24 lakes, this is MRI. They've got lakes 57, 105, 125, and 128. They're substantially complete with 105, 125, and 128. And they're almost done with 57 in Stony Brook, and they've requested a walkthrough for sometime in the next 2 weeks. So within the next 2 weeks, those will get walked and be completed. FY25 lakes, lakes 98 and 99. Contractors still got a couple punch list items regarding sod and fences. Matt Towers got Lake 109. We did a walkthrough yesterday. He has a punch list. Some minor items. Everything else looks pretty good out there. He was starting on Lake 94 in Timber Ridge this week with tree removal, and then it'll be full steam ahead to get Lake 94 completed in approximately 4 to 5 weeks, which will hopefully be finished before rainy season fully kicks off. That's our goal anyways, is to get that one done. Lake Bank Restoration HMGP, this is for the 21 remaining lakes. Right now, we're just waiting for the contract between Gateway and the state to be finalized before we start, because this is a reimbursed project. No work can start on that until that contract is finalized. So we're just on the sidelines right now, but we're ready to go. Public Works Storage Building. I'm not really sure what's going on with this one right now. I know that we were working on a change order, and I'm not sure if that one got finalized yet or not. My apologies. I know Eric had been working on it, and if it's not done, it should be getting pretty close to being turned back around. And Gateway Commons Park and Admin Building. There's a lot going on with this project, and I know you're way more familiar with it than I am, Chelsea. So if you don't mind, if you want to give an update on this one, I'd appreciate it.
Yep. So they're starting to move dirt. They submitted their first pay app. As of right now, we have a follow-up. Every 2 weeks we have or once a month we have a meeting with the contractor, and we're moving along.
We're all moving dirt now. We got to.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Are we back? Are we bringing in any dirt?
Yes, they are bringing in some dirt.
For Phil?
You'll see a lot of clearing, like Flavia alluded to earlier. There was a lot of invasives on that backside, so there's been a lot of clearing. We had part of one of the requirements was getting a vegetation removal permit, so that's completed. We have to get certain inspections done as part of the vegetation removal permit, so there's some paperwork on that side going, but we are making progress.
And I figured that's what Hampton Park, as soon as they saw that vegetation down, that's gonna be what the concern is gonna be.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's something that needed it to be done, the removal of the body of the nuisance, we just didn't do it. Exactly, so regardless, it needed it to be done, we just saved money and not, decided to do it all at this time.
Maybe a good little blurb for Randy if he's doing an update. That would have the opportunity for us to kill two birds with one stone, because that had been on the plan to remove invasives for 2 years ago, and we decided to wait until it was more cost effective if we do it in conjunction with the park project. And there is a plan.
Yeah.
Our staff is
I mean, I know Ed has a good relationship with the HU president there, so we can reach out to him too, Justin, and just let him know. Okay.
Steven, you done, or questions?
No, I've got a couple more projects, just
Okay,
a couple quick ones. FGUA, we're just waiting for a couple of punch list items before we can close that out. CCTV sewer contractor, National Water Main Cleaning is supposed to start on the 27th of this month. I believe they're going to start in Pelican. CCTV storm, you guys just approved that. So we're going to schedule a kickoff meeting with the contractor once all the paperwork is finalized. Pelican Lakes 47 and 40.
Wait, sorry. Since that was approved, Stony Brook, I will be asking that storm sewer contractor to start in Stony Brook because we have had issues there in the past.
Okay.
Sorry, Stephen, go ahead.
No problem. Pelican Lakes 47 and 48. 47 is substantially complete. Brad's waiting for littorals, but I think he is planning on for the water to come up a little bit, so those littorals have a better chance of getting established. And he started moving dirt on Pond 48 last week. Development updates, Arborwood, they're working through their stormwater punch list. Daniels Parkway Apartments, there's been a upsizing and well agreement floating around for comments internally. I know that's in the works. Santa Luz, Tony's been trying to work with the attorney for Lennar to get them to move, but I don't think anything's come of that yet. So, and Garrett FM, they are moving full steam ahead, and we have inspectors out there on a regular basis keeping an eye on the utility installation. And that's all I have. Ed, did you have a question for me?
Yeah, we'll just start with a fable and right off the bat, it sounds like it's gonna be Tony. Santa Luz is gonna be a pain in my backside. That bank is deteriorating. It's getting worse. And the first time we get a good rain, it's really gonna get bad. People over there are getting very, very, very frustrated. What do we need to do to light a fire under them? Do we need to just call in Lee County and go that route against them? Because they're obviously just snubbing us. They're not doing anything.
We've not, again, it's been frustratingly silent from the standpoint of the council for Lennar WCI on that one. We've told them many, many times in emails and in conversations that it's not going to get better, it's going to get worse. This is the optimal time to address it. There have been crickets as far as responses back to what have you found out, as far as, I'll call it carving it out, as we talked before, from the 558. And I will do another follow-up letter strongly, again, reminding them that the cost may be allocated to them, because if their actions or negligence results in damage to the district stormwater management system, we'll look to them to help reimburse it. Now that whether that changes their mind and gets them moving, I don't know. From a Lee County code enforcement perspective, I guess the only concern I would have is that it's a DO that we have in our name. You know, we would be turning ourselves in. I mean, that's the concern. Or is it that the site is not in good shape outside of the lake so that they're non-compliant with any DO or LDO or amendment? Well, I'm not sure those pipes they have, are they part of any DO, Stephen?
Well, are they compliant? They're not compliant. So why?
The DO was closed out. I do know that. I do know that the DO got closed out by Lee County like a long time ago.
Well, I guess the question is, if those pipes going from the downspouts to the lake or pond were part of the DO, there's a continuing obligation to maintain compliance with the conditions of a DO even after it's closed out. But the only difficulty would be they typically would go after the property owner, in this case, the association.
Well, obviously, the association did not put in the drain inlets, and they.
Well, no, I understand. The question is, what Lennar, code enforcement usually goes after the property owner or the party that controls the property. And that's the unfortunate aspect with this.
The people over there are immensely, if that's who called me a while ago, was the president of the association saying, what the hell is going on? Nothing's happening.
Well, we'll follow up with a stronger letter and outline the, do you have any photographs, Chelsea or Stephen?
Oh, yeah.
Of the continued erosion?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to do a timeline of photographs, and here's when we started communicating with you recently, here's what we warned you about, here's what's going on. And therefore, and give an estimate how much it's gonna cost.
Tetra Tech inspects it pretty much monthly on any outstanding issues that we have.
And we can ballpark an estimate, Stephen, for repairs.
We can work on
activities. We can put that in a letter.
Okay.
It is definitely getting worse. Okay, go on to Pond 109. People are asking me, looks like this is cleaning up. What's the date of removal of the fencing?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
We want the sod to get established. There's 10-day horizon.
That's what I told them. I thought that's what it was.
We don't want them to start mowing and scalp it and kill it and then.
Yeah. Okay. The HOA this morning voted to approve going on ahead and working with the owner on the fence.
Okay.
So we got that taken care of. Pond, I don't remember the number, I think it's 25, but Stephen, up behind Cypress Links subdivision gate or monument, looks like somebody brought in another truckload of stone. Is that stone to be placed around the bank where they have gaps? Okay, good. And then the last one is that when these guys are finishing like they did, and they had a contract or an agreement with the golf course to use that site, which included the placement of a porta-john, and they're done, and the grass has been sodded back, and it's all done. The porta-john is still there. People want that out of there. They asked me about it today. I said, well, I can go hook my golf cart up and drag it down the road, but where are you going to put it? The issue is,
We'll get it tomorrow.
the contractor needs to have the company come in and get that porta-john out of there.
We'll notify them tomorrow.
Okay, that's all I have.
Anything else for Tetra Tech?
Everyone with it? No?
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you,
Good
Steve.
night,
Steve.
Stephen.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move to.
So we have James with RWA here to present the 60% design of the irrigation system and then also the planting design.
James McCord, RWA for the record.
Want to touch over the executive summary and then, okay.
So we moved to 60% completed plans, which for the irrigation system, it's mainly, we've got the communication system in, we've got the heads and distribution part in, and the points of connection. When we go to 90%, we'll start actually valving, piping, and zoning, and doing the final hydraulic calculations. The planting plan, 60% shows what we're proposing with the staff. We got a few little things I think we're going to work out on some different spots and species to make it a little more congruent throughout the corridors. So in short, the irrigation system, we're going to have just a little update too. I'm actually meeting with the baseline representative Jamari. We're just going to go over the communications, make sure everything looks good, that there's nothing that's going to be an issue. And we'll see if I can maybe even give them a drive-by and just show the locations. But being that it's a cellular communications, there shouldn't be any communication issues. But we're going to make sure that everything is adequate, and if we can maybe reduce something, we'll try to reduce something just for cost and stuff. So we're just going to have a QA/QC by the manufacturer themselves. Okay, so we went through. We're getting the numbers are showing about the same, maybe a little bit higher, and the reason being is I keep in contact with irrigation contractors and just ask them which way is the market going. And right now there's been a kind of a spike, unfortunately, because of the tariffs. If you can believe it's even affecting this, because a lot of these products are not manufactured here. But by the way things are trending, and this may relieve itself. But right now they're only guaranteeing prices for like 90 days max because of the uncertainty on that. So the price was up just I think a little bit from the original original order of magnitude was just based on square footage without anything designed. This has all the number of heads, all the number of the miles of drip, or areas of drip, and so it's getting. It's going to be probably somewhere trending there. We'll do our best to keep costs down as much as possible when we get to the piping, and hopefully PVC prices will eventually drop. That when the oil prices keep coming down too.
So this project is a total wipeout of everything on the backside of our mains. Is that correct?
Yes.
Total wipeout.
Except for the distribution system. So from you'll have mains, but we'll call them sub-mains, but there'll be a point of connection, which is a meter, the meter on. So everything will be brand new.
So everything downstream of a newly placed meter will be new.
Correct, yes, sir.
And that it would be inclusive of heads, drip lines, the whole 9 yards.
Everything. You'll have new wiring. You'll have definitely a really upgraded control system than what you've got now.
That was going to be my next question.
Yes,
because I'm having troubles right now on baseline. We put it in after the fact and didn't put in piping. We're under this system.
The wiring?
Yeah.
The wiring.
Okay.
This one, I'm assuming.
We're putting conduit.
Well, definitely, we learned that one too. If you're going to put it in conduit, is it going to get in conduit that's in the trench where the lines are at? So this isn't bored separately.
Actually, this is going to be entirely new wiring, conduits, so everything's going to be brand.
I understand that, but is it going to follow the path? In other words,
Are you going to lay it parallel together?
Is it going to be in with the pipe that's going down the trench, or is it going to be at a separate trench line?
It's most likely going to be, typically I would put it in with the larger mains just because it saves in trenching.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is that when we went out and we were boring everything in the community, you've got utilities all over the place.
Yes, sir.
And you're hitting them right and left.
Yes, sir. We're actually put together a set of plans. We're sending that off. We're going to be doing 811 design tickets and sitting in the utility companies and start coordinating now that we're starting the piping to give them something, and so we'll get all their information. So all the information that the utility companies have will be on these plans to warn the contractors, saying, hey, here, and it also assists us in our design to make sure that we're trying to separate. So right now, the only utility information we have is the information we've gotten from staff on the reuse main lines, and we've got a good separation for the conduit from that.
In buried depth, we're gonna be what, 20, 24 inches?
Right now, typically, your main lines are 36-inch cover, and don't go beyond, so our 36-inch trench, because you start getting deeper, you start running into issues, you sure don't want to go.
We're gonna run into conflicts with other deals.
Well, not just that, once you get to 48 inches, now you got an ocean, they got to shore this, it's way.
I just wanted to make sure, because the minimal amount of exposure we have is just like with this FPL deal that we had on the Gateway Greens Drive and West Links. We were hitting this baseline equipment right and left, and we don't want to do that again. We don't want to do that.
Understood, yeah, and that's one reason why when we originally, I came in and 30% and said, I think we ought to do conduit, and with we all agreed just because of the protection of the cable itself, because being a 2-hour system, it's milliamps, so a little nick can cause an issue in those
We don't want
things.
to do
Big
that.
time.
We don't wanna do that.
Then the last one is as I'm reading this, what we have right now budgeted, $2.4, $2.5 million. I'm reading this that we're at 5.2, 5.3 million.
Well, if you look at irrigation, one about 4.6, but yes, sir.
Well, all in, because if we're gonna put in the irrigation, we're not gonna put in the plantings, what the hell are we doing it for? So
No,
basically, this is a both of those items deal.
Yes, sir.
But what I'm saying is, where's the money coming up? We haven't even had discussion. Where's the extra $3 million coming from?
Doug has a question too.
So we have pursued a grant for over $1 million that we're waiting to hear back, hopefully in the next month or so. The plantings, that is to be determined by the board. We're not obligated to put those in right away. As long as we have a plan in place, we can budget that over time. We did try to minimize our, no pun intended, plan of attack on additional plantings down Griffin. Thanks, Doug.
Well, that's not my bailiwick and background, but I've now learned it being on landscape for a while. That looks to me like $600 and some thousand was overkill. Why do we need all of those plantings?
Well, that can be a supplemental pricing as part of the bid package, or we can do that as part of an entirely separate bid package.
We gotta tighten the belt on some of this stuff. It's getting out of hand. A lot of money going out. This is way beyond what we ever envisioned.
Well, and when we applied for the grant, I believe we applied for, because of the amount that you could apply for and the cost benefit analysis, I believe we had applied for just Griffin. I have to follow back up and look at Nathan's files, but that should help. I don't know that it'll get us to that mark, but this is at 60% design. This is when we start looking at where there are cost savings, is there ways to cut back on certain things? Do we have to do the plantings now? Do we push that, down the road? Those types of things. And there's always additional grants that we can look at too.
So a couple things. I think we'd all agree, the priority is the irrigation system itself. Yeah. That has to be, what we're putting in is quality and should last for a significant amount of time. We care about meters and what's under the dirt. Our residents probably care more about what they're gonna see on top. So can you just talk about, just for literally 30, 45 seconds, just the philosophy or the methodology around the new technology and when it comes to sprinkler heads or coverage? And
Yes.
I've always said I want to get out of the road spraying business, the road watering business. And a great indicator is if you were to drive down the road maybe a week ago, you could see all the dead spots around Gateway, and you can pinpoint where and even in your yards, where your sprinkler system was not hitting certain areas, where those gaps are. So
Yes,
if you
sir.
could just touch base on that. And then one last thing, do you have an in-house arborist?
I'm a certified arborist.
You're certified, okay, perfect.
Yes, sir.
Just one, thank you.
So anyway, so just to quickly answer your question, so the design philosophy, well, one, not only being a landscape architect allows me to design irrigation systems in the state of Florida. However, I'm a certified IAA Irrigation Association designer, contractor, and auditor. So that is a level above minimally competency for the state of Florida. So this means I'm proficient in this. So the big thing that we're going to be designing, and to answer your question, is the efficiency. And that's where you can see when the failure of a system, especially now times of drought, you're going to see like exactly what you're talking about. And we look at those things. But to answer your question about keeping like water off the roads, the technology, for one thing that we're speccing, or one thing that's going to help a lot, is getting rid of all those heads that are like right next to shrubs and things like that, and going to drip. The drip applies the water directly on the ground. It's 95% efficient, so you don't have to water a lot longer to get the same amount of water out for that plant material. So we're going to see some water savings, but then what happens is that head, those heads grow, those shrubs grow, the heads could pop up, shoot straight into the shrub, and then it goes and just, it can't infiltrate the soil. So you see, that's where you see a lot of runoff. Another number two is, once we get to scheduling, we'll look at certain things. Certain heads, like sprays, they're more affected by wind. So we'll go in programming where those things are early in the morning when the wind is less. If it's because some of these have to run, because of watering windows may have to start running a little earlier. We use the rotors. We run the drip during the day, so we can sit there and spread this out. Not putting a lot of. This will help keep watering when people are actually, putting water on the walks and stuff, when people are actually using these properties, or these walkways and these amenities. And then the quality of technology has gotten so much better. So like the spray heads that we're actually specifying right now it's a Toro head, which a lot of people, all you hear is Hunter and Rainbird and things like that. But Toro is the only one that has a certain particular product. It's called the X-Flow. So if, say, the guy in the lawn, the mainscape's out there with their stick edgers and they're edging around beds, and they clip a nozzle with the little weed eater edger and put a cut in it. If that was a Hunter head or a Rainbird head that pops up, you got the nice little waterfall, a little fountain. X-Flow stops it off completely. So you're not having those. So if something like a car runs over, breaks off that part, water does not go into the road.
That's fantastic.
How do you know it's broken?
The lights gone a week later.
The riser pops up, but no water comes out.
So then it's a visual thing, you would have known.
Okay.
I do have a question regarding
Yes,
the
ma'am.
drip line.
Yes, ma'am.
So in the past, like we've had a lot of issues on Griffin, which I think we have the majority of the drip lines on our beds, and they would, like, I guess the squirrels or the animals, they're prone to chew into it. Is it the same? Like, does a drip line have to be always above ground, or can it be below ground?
It's actually for beds, it's typically on top of the ground, but then you have a layer of mulch over it too.
Mulch on the top of it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And the other one that we're running into right now, that we finally got rid of Mainscape and got a new company in and doing checks, we're finding our drip lines have never been cleaned and never been cleaned out. So they need to have routine locations to where you have a blow off to clean those out, because what we're afraid of is we're going to be putting in all new drip lines because all our lines are 30 years old lines. And we're not getting water. We know when we go down the road, we'll see a bunch of healthy bushes, and then where we have drip lines, and then we'll go another 50 yards, they're all dead.
But I
They're not
don't
getting
think,
water.
I mean, if you get 30 years out of your drip line,
Yeah.
good luck, because that's like with the sun exposure, you're looking like a 5, but okay.
Actually, the life of drip line, if you got 20 years, is a pretty good life.
That's what I was gonna say, I'd say thank you, but I did.
But I mean, the irrigation heads are rated at 10 years,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's actually typically, it could be
We're
double.
like on the mountain with the fishes and the bread. We can make it last a long
Yes, sir.
time.
But to answer your question, even drip lines since 30 years ago, the technology has really increased. They use copper and things like that, which keeps stuff from clogging. So it keeps bacteria and things from growing in there, which starts doing. You can't really flush out a drip line. However, they may not have spec this, and every drip line I do, we do actually have design. We'll have design on there. There's flush valves. So when the system does start up, it flushes the line first.
Well, that was
then seals
going to
it.
be my question here are we even checking when we do the wet checks are we checking these drip lines? Because I found out we're not.
Yeah, it's very,
It's a nightmare.
it's
That would
difficult.
that would be a maintenance issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Big time issue.
it's
Not
difficult,
this issue.
but I don't know if they still, I'll have to get in touch with Netafim because I haven't seen it in their catalog, but they do make, it's called a little flag. So once that drip line goes on and it's working properly, this little flag pops up to let you know it's working and if there's no breaks. And that's about, because it's a drip.
Pressure
That sounds
reader.
very
Yeah.
expensive.
No, they're not very expensive. They're very inexpensive, but I don't know if people bought enough of them for them to keep manufacturing, but we used to.
Well, your issue when you do a wet check, you can go out and you can see heads, you can see rotors and all
Yeah.
that. You can't tell whether a drip line's working, especially if it's buried.
Now you're gonna be able with the clock. The baseline clock is gonna sit there and we're gonna have it, it's gonna measure the flow.
It's gonna run, yeah.
It's gonna sit, they're gonna be able to, with their iPhones or out there, and they're gonna sit there and say, hey, you know, it's only running 30 gallons per minute, and it was designed at 45, there's an issue.
But where's that 30-gallon a minute going? That's the issue. If you've got clogs and things
Well,
like
it's
that.
zoned, so
Yeah,
it's gonna
you
be
can-
zoned, so it's not gonna be like a one
Yes.
somewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll be
Okay.
located geographically.
But you can actually see, it's funny, you'll actually see, you'd be surprised, you turn that drip on, if it doesn't have mulch on top, you can actually see the water coming out of it. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
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 But, in final, back to the big thing that you're gonna see with this system is the communications. You're gonna be able to know when problems happen. It's gonna automatically shut it off. So like if there is a break and it exceeds flow, it's gonna actually say, listen, we're gonna shut that zone off and stop, so you're not gonna have that extra water in the, because, you know, it's running at 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't have anybody out there to fix it, and you don't know, and then you got the roads flooded. So this will help, it'll give warnings, the staff will be able to sit there and go through errors and say, hey, I got a problem at zone 36C. They go out there and they say, oh, we got a main line break there, or sub-main break, or there's problems with the heads, and so they'll know how much water's flowed, if it flowed, and then also on this system, one thing good about Baseline is if you follow their the ASIC grounding, they'll give you 10-year warranty, including lightning strikes, which nobody does, because we're number one lightning strike, I think, area in the world. I know it's in the U.S., but I think it's in the world even. So that is not uncommon. When I designed Gulf Coast Town Center, we had a lightning strike and blew out the whole entire front control panel of the clock. So this is not uncommon, so you got 10 years with it, and everybody, you're lucky to get a year warranty on a controller. But that being said, you're gonna have all the information you need. It's gonna sit there and just monitor it. You'll be able to, the crews will be able to run it with their iPhone, do the wet checks, so it's gonna be faster. Another good thing about like the Toro heads, they can actually, because of that technology, they can actually not have to turn the system off. They can walk through, take the nozzle off, swap nozzles, the clogged nozzles, and keep going down there because it automatically shuts.
As you do the wet.
As you do the wet check.
Okay.
That's
you don't have to-
exactly what
You don't
we are telling.
We
our-
don't have to go
We did have
flash.
issues of them shutting it off, doing the repair, and then a week later, like Chelsea, I think they forgot to turn it off, because there was one little area, now it's like a whole zone.
Yeah,
So
so they don't have to go and flag up because if a nozzle's clogged or.
We're not doing that flag deal no more. We're gonna have a crew, that's the fixer crew, following the wet check crew.
Yes.
So I want to just add one final thing. As we're going through this design, we're thinking long-term, we're thinking protecting, our investment. How do we do this in the future? Especially, having other utility companies come in, they call in the 811 ticket, but right now that 811 ticket goes to utilities. We're already talking internally about, okay, when those tickets come in, we need to notify Angelo, our tech, because he's gonna be learning through this process. He'll be the one to go out. We'll have, the contractor will be responsible, or your company is responsible for providing the as-built and
That's the
in
key.
a GIS system that we will be able to implement into the cartograph.
Yeah.
So when those tickets come in, not only do the utility staff go out to do the mains of irrigation and water and sewer, our staff can go out and identify where all of this conduit is. That way, if it does get hit, we've marked it, we've noted it.
And to add to that point, when I ran Collier County's 120-mile irrigation system, we actually coordinated with Sunshine 811 and said, we're a provider. So when they would call for the 811 tickets, they'd actually call Collier County Irrigation, and we had a guy locate it. Now, when we go in, when they're building this, every change of direction, every asset, which, you
On
know,
the as-built.
is gonna be GPS location, and they'll be on the as-built, and the good part about it is too, cartograph can be used on the phone, so not only can they can be turning on and off the system, they can sit there and pull up all the asset information right there too in their
Well, our
phones.
problem is right now is we've got errors in the in the GPS system.
Yes, we're,
And so consequently, you sit there, and the other day, we were doing an instantaneous wet checkup on Walden Lakes, where we put in 2 new meters. We had to go through, we found zone 40, and it was in an area. We said, okay, the next line down is either going to be logically 41 or 39. It was 37. There was no rhyme or reason to it. So you've got to have accurate as-bills and not only show where it's at, but show what it's controlling.
yeah, we're gonna have each zone area, it's gonna be in cartograph. So when you pull up the zone 37, you'll see the extent of the zone. There won't be every little head on the cartograph, but it'll have the assets like the valves and all that kind of stuff.
The
So,
big one is to have the start and the finish.
yep, yes, sir.
Is there any other questions for James?
And just one little thing about the budget too. This is gonna probably take a little bit longer than a year, so this gives you the opportunity to maybe get multiple grants too as well.
Oh, good.
So I was kind of talking to a few different people and just kind of saying, hey, if I had a system that was this many heads and this, how long do you think it would take? And I said, right now I'm thinking of about a year or so, but there will be MOT required and all these. I gave them kind of just didn't give them the where, when, or why, or how. I just was trying
Are you
to.
talking about the grant that we tried to get over Gateway?
That's
Yeah,
one
well,
of them.
we qualified for the grant. The problem was they ran out of money before they got to us.
Well,
That's the issue.
yeah, I'll tell you something though. I know a lot of your municipalities are not going for grants. They don't, I mean, a lot of them just don't. Collier County gets so many of them because there's no competition hardly. They just don't want to go through the paperwork.
Paperwork, it's
Yeah.
paperwork.
It's
We
sad
like
to say.
paperwork.
We do paperwork.
We do a lot of paperwork here.
We do.
So I'll be working with staff, and what you'll have is a really good design system, and if it's got to be something phased, you got the plans. You know, it could be, you know, because there's still there's some parts out there that are relatively new, but that aren't as old as some of the other parts, and we can sit there and hit the critical areas. And I've already told Chelsea and staff that we're gonna break this down based on each water point of connection, so you can sit there and do phase by water connection.
Chelsea, is that grant money, would that be available for Pelican irrigation?
Absolutely, yep. And I made note of that. I mentioned it at the landscape subcommittee last time, because I know the system over there is getting pretty old. It normally opens in like April, May timeframe, so we're gonna look for that next year for Pelican.
Because right now, the community association is by mutual agreement completely. So I want to make sure that they're totally aware of everything that's
Yeah.
And it's
available.
about 50%.
Yeah.
That's what we applied for.
And totally off the subject, if you do need some assistance with pickleball courts, I designed them and the lighting, and I have a lot of knowledge about all the noise and the barriers and stuff, because if you do go the barrier, the noise attenuation barrier, you have to increase the structural components of your fencing.
Yep.
It's a park.
It's hard.
It's a park.
And just to let you know,
It didn't come out overnight.
53
It's been a park
53
forever.
decibels, like the audiologist was talking about. If you've ever heard like the really quiet dishwashers that you can't hear, like mine has to show a light on the ground,
Same here, but it's the beeping is what I
those are about 51.
Yeah.
So actually that 60 decibels is a normal conversation. So he's talking maybe 53 decibels. That's less than hearing a conversation about 15 feet away.
It's for one, like, there's no long distance.
Yeah, so there are some things, but there is some information out there. There are also people out there, and I can look into it a little bit for you, but there are people that do the noise studies and modeling. There's actually people that get paid to model noise for pickleball courts.
We had that when they complained about the dog. We had dogs barking there, so they would, yes.
All right, so James has finished 60%, so we're looking for your blessing for him to move towards 90%, and he'll bring that back to you whenever that's completed.
I so moved.
So we have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
I'll second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jessica. I'll be in touch.
Have a great
All right,
day.
let's go ahead and move to Town Lakes Drive. Park.
Tony?
Is it Tony or is it you?
Tony?
Tony.
Well, we've been doing some initial digging on it. Got tied up in a number of other projects going way back to I'll call it. So 07, 08, 09, 10.
Excuse me, do we approve A and B both?
Yes.
Yes, and just trying to find out what happened and what, again, there was at some point in time, WCI offered to convey by quitclaim deed. There was my recollection is I've not found all the minutes and agendas yet. My recollection was, the discussion was, if you bring it up to speed, the district will accept it. That was back in 18 or so.
Okay.
There's a town report from back then also, it's attached to one of the memorandums, that reflects that Western House for WCI Communities was the owner. Now, there's another indication, I think Leap or others indicate, the Town Lakes Office Park is the owner of those roads. And so, to the extent that the board wishes to take ownership of that roadway segment, if another title report is ordered, and if it reflects that Town Lakes Property Owners Association is the owner, there is at least one surviving officer at the time of dissolution, Vince Sardo.
Okay, so he can keep, so we can work with him and claim it and take it over.
Yes, if in fact, that's what the town report shows, so if you want me to, I can order the report.
Well, we have a quitclaim deed that he signed in December of 2007. The issue was, it got dropped here at the CDD. It never went through.
Yeah,
whether or not it was correct or it had merit, I don't know. But the issue is that the people that were involved at Town Lakes have since 2007 thought we owned this road.
Well, getting back to that, I haven't retrieved all my emails and documents from back then. There's an email I sent where I referenced some defects I saw in the quitclaim deed. And then I didn't find anything more after that. It was like 09, 2010 timeframe. So if it's the board's pleasure.
So you're looking for direction from us to see.
To order the title report, and then if the board wants to say, ask for the quitclaim deed, once we get the title report from Town Lakes, we can do that.
You
And
can
then
reach out to Vince and then do it.
Yes, and then the other question becomes, does the board want to have anybody bring it up to speed or just take it and then be responsible for bringing it up to standards, whether it's
We
milling,
have money there,
repaving?
don't we?
Well, that's, so for purposes of, from a staff perspective, we have a Town Lakes fund, we have money in the fund, about 100,000. We've been charging the 4 monument maintenances to it. Part of this was the budget for next year. Do we need to put money in for these assets, or do we use carry forward? Or is there an option C that the board wishes to accept them and tie them into the general fund 001?
It's cleaner, right?
Whichever you guys choose, but for us, it's more of the budget because that's time sensitive. How do we want to address this? And really the underlying question is it ours or not? And I think Tony's going to do some title work. Well, once that's determined.
So if Tony does the title work, and if it's not ours, can you utilize the $100,000 to bring it up to?
For our ingress and egress.
Yeah, on the plat, the district has various easement dedication, including for ingress and egress over this roadway track. And so it's probably conceived the district would have ingress and egress rights over the roadway track to access its facility. So the district does have the right to expend money to improve ingress egress, which is the road.
The issue, in my opinion, is not so much the road. I agree with Tony on what he's saying on that. My issue is to explain to everybody else in the community, why are we taking over their monuments when we don't do anybody else's monuments? So those monuments should stay with them, and if they don't want them, we just tear them all
The
out.
monuments itself.
Well, I
the
guess,
monuments,
I guess the question is,
I'm fine with
are the
the
monuments in the roadway track right away, or are they outside?
They're their own. They are.
They are separately
They are
indicated.
their own, because I remember 2 years ago having the conversation about the annuals, because I didn't want that money, the annuals money coming out of the general fund, and we did some research at that time. And that we started then charging, I think Brian Brashear was who we had at that point. So if they don't want the monuments, then.
Well, that's my deal, is I see absolutely no advantage whatsoever for the CDD being involved in monument maintenance. The road is a whole different issue.
Okay,
So you're saying take them out then?
I'm sorry?
Take them out?
We wouldn't
We
touch
just,
them.
we don't touch
We
it.
just
Leave it
tell
in.
them,
If
they'll
it's-
just fall apart because we're not paying for them.
if they're outside, they're right
Now,
away.
it could be argumentative that some of the money that they have been putting into that fund, what we might do is just tell them, hey, we'll do this. We'll fix the road, we'll, what do we call it, resurface the road.
Right.
We'll do the striping, we'll do any necessary signs, we'll fix the monuments, and then they're yours. We're not touching the monuments ever again.
Do they,
In other words,
require fixing right now?
use that
No,
money.
They're in a bad
I
shape?
mean,
No.
no.
No,
Okay.
but
I don't
my
know.
point is that the last thing we need to do is be taking over monuments.
Well,
And to
all I'm
maintain-
looking for is no ambiguity.
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
real clear about what we're gonna do, like you said, we'll do the road,
But
and then we're
that's
done.
it.
We're
Yeah,
done.
I agree with that, yeah.
Now, is that consistent with the 2007 quitclaim deed
I don't
provisions?
the quitclaim deed passed the road and the monuments.
But it's
The
not.
road.
But it never came to
No.
originally. So now the
And, well,
latest update will be
somewhat,
Roads only.
because
roads only.
we've been doing, as I understand, the monuments. So why we took those over when we didn't have them to take over is beyond me to begin
So,
with.
can I,
This whole thing is a mess.
so.
But if we clean, like, if, go ahead.
Here's my suggestion, because right now, Laura brought up a great point. The Fairway Lakes monument that's in the little median, we don't touch that. We don't maintain that. Nobody does. If you took the monuments
And then
and
remove
you
it.
wanted to remove them, you could. But if you stop maintaining them and then they start to look not like the rest of the Gateway standard, nobody's gonna do anything.
That's right.
And I'll tell you, they don't do anything, because for a
No,
while,
we've been doing it.
we've been doing it because they just refuse to do it, then going back 5-6 years ago.
You could remove them.
So I'm up for removing, there are 3, I think. There are
Four.
Or let those 13
Oh, yeah, that's
owners,
right.
let those 13 owners decide that they want to individually take it over and have their own little fund and they take care of it. I don't care.
Well, but I think ultimately, what we're saying is, yes, in an ideal world, they would take those monuments, but we know what's gonna happen. They might even say, oh, yeah, we'll take them, we'll take care of them, and then in 3 years, they'll be back crap.
Yeah.
And then we've got complaints that our monuments look like
And
crap,
that's-
why
and that's-
aren't we taking care of it?
And that's when they're gone.
Yeah,
we
well,
just-
that's,
But they
but I
won't be
think,
able
I think
to.
the decision is, do we just take them?
I just,
And then we can make the determination,
To
either
remove
we
it.
upkeep or we
You can do that.
destroy,
We can do
remove.
that too.
yes, Tony.
I would much rather do that.
Are we talking Town Lakes now or Fairway Lakes?
Town.
Okay, in Town Lakes,
Town.
consistent with what Chelsea mentioned, there are 2 separate landscape sign easements. And they're outside the roadway track. And they were dedicated to the association. So we don't have any right to really touch them and take them down. Because, you know,
Unless
we
they
may-
did it to us.
what they can do is they can, since it's part of a larger tract, what they would need to do is assign the dedication. Because the easement is on a larger tract, and to claim it to us, we'd have to get the meets and bounds descriptions of that easement, which we might be able to do, but they can assign the dedication of that easement to us. That might be the easiest way.
So a quitclaim deed and an assignment of dedication.
Other
And that's something
dedications.
that he can work with Vince.
And then we would have full
Right.
control.
Of the
Road and sign.
road and signs, yes, my next.
Then that-
Or if we can get an easy meets
then
and
it takes
bounds
those
legal
5
of
gone.
the sign.
We always have an or, we like what you first said.
No, if we get it, it's cleaner if you have a meets and bounds and sketch of the sign easement, but if we can get something off of the plat, that's something we get pretty quickly, then that's easy. Okay, so I have direction for the board to order the title work
Yes.
on the roadway tract and to also work on
So
quitclaim deed and
for
bring it back to the
purposes
board.
of, I know I'm jumping ahead, well, I guess let's pause there and get direction from the board.
Say it again.
Leaving now.
Yeah, I think that's the direction
That's
we
the
want to
correct
authorize Tony to do that. I'll make that motion.
A second.
Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good.
The second part of this is, I go back to the budget. So we've put, although a nominal amount, we have put money in that budget. So we can choose to use carry forward, not put any money in the budget.
But when we say we put money in there, it's the
Those-
community
they-
people
yes,
put
they-
money on the
Yes,
budget.
they were assessed.
Yeah.
So there's about $100,000. I drove it the other day. The road doesn't need milled and repaved, in my opinion, but I'm not a traffic, I'm not, you know, a asphalt person. There's some valley gutters, there's some landscaping that needs to be trimmed, the monuments need to touch up. There's landscape trees overhanging the roadway that do not meet any TCD standards. So those types of minor things, but do I think we could utilize the 100,000? Absolutely.
Well, the thing is that if we're gonna get rid of that, isn't it sort of like Stony Brook? We gotta get rid of that 100,000, period.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna do it and we're gonna buy it, the last thing I wanna do is be talking about Ten Lakes roads 10 years from now. Let's go in and resurface them right now, restripe them, put the signs in, get it all done, and then we set back for 25 years.
Okay.
Then we don't
Roll
have to worry about it
100,000 down to zero.
and take it down to zero.
Do whatever you can for that amount, and then we just absorb it, and then for future.
Okay, so we'll work through the paperwork. If we can get those 2 things signed over to the district, we can make all of those things happen.
Now, the one question is, are we if we do that, if we get ownership of roads and monuments, are we saying, let's bring the monuments refreshed? Or do we make the decision of whether we're?
I think.
Defer that until we get that.
I think first we need to do is have somebody go over there, take a look at it closely, make sure there's no structural damage or anything like that, make sure what we're getting.
So we'll
Once
split
Town
that
Lake's
into
out of it,
roads and then monuments.
once Town Lake's out of it from a decision-making point, they gave all it to us, then we can
Then we can
decide
talk about it. Yeah.
level of monuments, or do whatever.
$90,000 would go a long way on resurfacing that road. It's not that long.
No, it's not much more. I don't know how much we can get for 90,000.
The thing is, I haven't looked at curbing to see if there has to be curb.
There's a
fits
couple
and that
valley
kind of
gutters
stuff.
that need to be replaced, that are cracked.
But at least this is a start to get rid of that thing, because those people they don't even know they're paying into this down there. They don't even know it. They thought this thing was over with.
What's the annual assessment, more or less?
About 8,000, 9,000.
I'll tell you when we get to the budget, because it's on there.
Okay, so instead of being 100?
It's not
okay,
much, it's like less than $10,000.
Okay, so instead of 100,000, it's 108,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving
So-
right along.
Does that?
Tony, are you clear?
I'm fine, absolutely.
Okay, all right, I'm good too. Thank you for this,
Okay,
helps. All right, Miss Laura,
next.
capital. First is capital. I didn't know if you want to go category by category. We've kind of touched over these. Nothing's really changed on our side other than maybe moving something that was capital into operations because it didn't make sense.
You got some coatings on here, red and yellow and green and purple and orange and all that.
Oh,
When you do this, what does all that mean?
The red was updated.
Red is
Not
an
since the last
update?
time you saw it, I just didn't go ahead and change it.
And
That
what does the yellow mean? Is that a new item that we?
It's just something I need to look at. There's a high note here to potentially split that cost with Public Works when we get to that point, so.
So it's a
just-
note.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a, just call out for the note.
I didn't have any questions on what you were
Do
doing.
you guys have anything for utilities? And Laura put in the totals for you by funding source.
And the date and the version.
Thank you.
Everything says version 1.
That's because that's what it is.
You'll get
But
version.
you revised it today.
It's 3, really.
But thank you.
Nothing for
Just
utilities?
saying.
Anything else for utilities? Moving along. Maybe 6:30 will be out here. Public Works?
Nothing,
I noticed you
nothing's
introduced
changed on
this-
there
Nothing,
since
how
the
about
last
this, how
time we
about,
looked at
does
it.
anybody have any notes into the two items, we just go, like, do you
No,
have
that works.
anything?
Yeah, the only thing I noticed is that you now have the silos and you're starting to distribute.
Yes,
In
and
the
we'll
silos.
get into
Okay.
that, yep.
Okay.
Okay, do you have anything, Doug?
I guess anything
Bob?
for capital.
No.
Anything for capital at
I
all?
don't have
Okay.
anything.
All right.
And Russ is online, I shot him a text, so he's online for this version. I'm gonna actually swap out, because what's in your board book, Stephen and Russ and I have been meeting since this was published, so the staffing hasn't changed, but the budget, the guts of the budget itself have changed since this was put out.
Because it's a living, breathing document.
Yes, and as I disclosed the last time, so, let me get in here. I think,
What is printed? What is printed?
oh, I think I saw it. I think this,
This is
Long
the
way
packet
to-
or yours?
no, that's mine. I
11
just
by
put it
7.
in there. So what this giant thing that you're getting, Russ, I'm handing out the silos,
Oh,
tapped
that
it on my desk, because I'm not allowed my
Does this say
son.
version 2?
It says version 1, because that's what it is.
And
It's a proposed version.
Page-
Version 1 was last week.
Page
It
numbers.
says page-
It even has page numbers on it, so, what you have in front of you is, let me see, it's this,
This is version 1.
it's this tab right here, so the thing you have laying in front of you, if you were to go to, I'll pull this up here, this allocations tab, make this bigger.
It just doesn't have notes, sorry.
No, there aren't any notes, all the notes are in the budget. So the reason that it says, I couldn't get the combined to fit on the page, so there's like Pelican and Gateway and then the shared stuff, so, if you flip back to page, where is it, the back here?
So once I prefer the small one.
11, no, sorry.
This one?
Well, I was gonna start with the comment.
You know how you staple your words?
Yes.
That's what
It's
we
like-
It actually-
Oh, yeah, I agree to that.
Are you talking this?
When I did double sided, I
But
love
focus
that.
on the handout, because it's the silos. It ties back to the budget.
And what page are we supposed to be on?
So this giant thing, Go
What
to
page?
page 8.
Okay?
Okay, so if you notice page 8, under the FY26 budget, and if you take a quick peek at your screen here, this column Y that I have highlighted, all of the costs that are under the FY26 budget align with that column. So this is the shared administrative costs. I just kind of want to explain like where the numbers are coming from into the silo. And I did update, and I can't see that now. I did update these now to show admin shared, where before I just said admin, because there's gateway admin, Pelican admin, and then there's shared admin. So I have this admin shared under the silos comment, which does not reflect in the stuff you have in your board packet. So this is what I've been working on the last couple of days.
Why is it titled enterprise on the screen?
Because this won't show anywhere, this is the enterprise funds share of the allocated expenses. They've always been sharing this.
I understand that, but on the handout you just gave us, has it titled admin.
Yep, because we don't,
Because
the
we're not
enterprise fund
looking at
isn't part of the assessment, but I just wanted to show that they were getting their 50%
So,
of
but
the
it is
costs.
enterprise.
It is
Oh, okay.
enterprise, yeah.
That's what.
So
that's-
we're concentrating on this column here, the general fund and Pelican Preserve shared. That's what translates over to this common costs area starting on page 8. So all those administrative and operational admin, that's all of these costs here.
Okay.
So that's what those are, so. I don't think,
Would you like one? Would you guys like one?
the only, let's see, and then if you go to page 11.
Kill a tree, kill the forest.
Those are the park and rec costs, which we're also sharing, so, page 11, all of those align, again, if you were to go to the actual budget itself.
Okay,
all of those-
scroll this up to where these two match.
They're right here.
Okay.
Yep. So all of those costs are carried over. The one exception that you'll see on here, if you scroll down about a little over halfway down the page, the holiday lighting and decorations,
15,000.
the 15,000, that is for that's for the stuff in the community in general. Is where we
Is
keep
that on page 11?
The lights, yep,
Yeah.
11. That's for the lights on Gateway and Griffin. And there's a little note at the top above the thing, it says what it's for.
Oh, it's on the top, but it's not one of the left-hand columns.
It is.
Okay. Oh, holiday lighting decoration?
Yep, you can see that 15,000 hanging out there all by itself, and then if you go up to the top above the word administration, it says lights on Gateway and Griffin.
Oh.
So that's what that's for.
Okay, she's gonna scroll up.
How
to
would
get to that thing.
So it's this right here.
There it is, right there. Okay, gotcha.
So the reason we did it this way, and this is what I want to bring up, this is discussion, the board can change this, but I'll just explain the logic behind how it got to that area, is that instead of being in roads, is those are the lights in the main areas. And the reason it was treated differently than Pelican is because Pelican's lights are inside their gate. These are out in the community, on the roads, that anybody can drive any time of the day or night, and there's traffic coming and going constantly. So that's why we have that as a shared cost between Pelican and Gateway versus Pelican's holiday lighting, which is only inside of Pelican, is being charged only to Pelican.
Okay.
So that's the reason why this is a shared
And the
cost.
Pelican lights also go to all of our monuments, all 39 monuments.
Correct, but the lighting was charged only to Pelican because the lighting is only in Pelican.
Right.
Got
Where this is Gateway proper.
Proper.
Yeah, with
Pelican
palm
was
trees,
Gateway.
everything,
Okay.
yes.
And
We
have
did-
more roads.
We did separate out the cost of the lights that go just to the Sherman soccer field for the Winterfest, where we have the big tree and they do all the extra lighting. Over in there, that's actually, that actually is under,
The Parks and Rec.
it's under the holiday events.
Yeah, I
So,
was gonna say.
Yeah, because that's part of that.
Yeah.
So we did pull that piece out. But that, I just wanted to explain the logic to why Pelican's paying for their own holiday lighting, but we split out the Gateway side.
So why don't you explain
Okay.
this bigger sheet and how?
Yep, I kind of did, if you weren't in here.
Mhm.
So, that's why we're going through it the way we are. I'm having them look at the sheet and then looking at the budget to see where the numbers are coming from. All right, so that's the
that's the majority, oh, the pool is in there too, so this pool is part of Parks and Rec, so that's also in this silo, so those numbers all transfer over, so if you wanna, you can go back, and then it would start on bottom of page 2, I guess.
Landscape?
Yes.
Do you guys want to go through fund by fund, or do you want
Well,
to do
that's
it
what I
with
said.
capital?
Yeah, we're just asking if anybody has any feedback.
Yes,
So I just
questions
kind
or
of wanted to
something?
give you an idea, if you're looking at the budget and then you're looking at your silo sheet, this is where it comes from. So any changes that we make to the budget automatically feed through this entire workbook. It'll update the silo sheet, it updates the allocations, and it updates
Thank
the
you, Laura.
assessments all at
The
once.
biggest question that we have for you right now, you'll
Is
notice,
these,
is, so the capital projects and equipment sheet, that ties to the capital sheet that you just discussed. The capital projects reserves, we need your input. Now Laura did some homework if you want to share from, you guys directed us to go back and look at the capital reserve study. I will tell you, if we followed that capital reserve study, we'd all have a coronary.
it was supposed to be $1.2 million for this fiscal year. So I did not do that. What I did is, since we've already included the cost of capital projects that we plan to do for fiscal '26, and they're, each section has their own, like for example, where am I now? This is under waterway stuff for ponds, so they have $38,500 scheduled of capital projects for fiscal '26. So to come up with my amount for the reserves, I took the 5 years from 27 through 31 and took the average of the capital projects that we had planned for the next 5 years. And that, for this particular one, it's $12,200.
100% of that average.
It's 100% of the average, yes.
Okay, for 5 years.
So for the next 5 years, yeah, and that would cover,
So,
so,
That's one
but,
way of doing it.
last year, we looked at that capital reserve study, and you all said,
A set amount, right?
a set amount, and that was broken out in the silos behind the scenes. Now, we're bringing that to the forefront for transparency purposes. Now, you guys chose not to last year follow that capital reserve study. Again, that 1.2 million, I did not think that we would be there, but that is the number. If you want to put 1.2 million in through the different categories, Laura, we went back.
I'll be able to parse it out based on what they calculated to figure out what goes into roads, what goes into the waterway, but it is $1.2 million.
But it is a 5-year average, 100%.
No,
No.
the 1.2 is for 1 year.
1 year, okay.
So what we did differently, what Laura was explaining, we have, you don't see it, but we have a 10-year CIP that staff put together of all of the things that we anticipate. We only focus on the next 5 years because that's realistic. So she took the average of what we foresee in the next 5 years of those projects, how much we need, and so it's a,
And it's 1.2 million.
And I think what we
No.
said,
no,
No. I took the next 5 years from starting with fiscal '27.
show the CIP, let's do that.
Okay, we'll show it right now.
That's okay, but that'll give a picture.
This one is probably good.
Okay,
Okay, so
waterways is the one you have to pull that.
it's not gonna work because it's not in there. That's right here. So, because there's another year out here, I used 31, this only goes through 2030. So I did 5 years starting with fiscal '27, so there's one more year over here that's not included in that. But if you look, this $30,000 aligns with the capital projects that I put in for fiscal '26. So I took all of these projects that we had planned coming up for waterway, which is not much. It was 61,000 plus, I think there was something over here for 31. And the average for those 5 years was $12,000. So that's how I came up with it.
But this is subject, you guys can pick a percentage, you can pick a
Yep.
flat number, you can do whatever you want, but this was the logical suggestion.
I
It
think
was
what
the
we-
easiest.
I think what we said was, in a perfect world, we would fund 100% through reserves. However, because we haven't been doing that, that number becomes quite big. So I think we tried to set a goal of 50%. And I think it's
25 or 50.
I-
No, it's
yeah,
a lesser
I
number.
think-
Yeah, 25, what,
I think it was
and
55
then,
and then 50.
and then at the point of
3 years.
at the point of whenever that maturity hits, we should have, whether it's 35 or 50%, and the rest, we could do debt financing, which would be, so it's almost like people that live here now are paying for, future, but the people that will be there at that particular time, and then
Yeah.
we'll pay for the other half. So
Yeah.
it balances the,
Sure.
That's a
So we're
happy
not paying,
number.
so we're not paying for 10 years out of it.
If we do it this way
In other
with
words,
the
you're not
5-year
taking on
average,
3
you're-
weeks, unless we wanted,
we're balancing,
unless we wanted to create.
we're
impact
balancing the
fees.
equity in the
One of
funding.
the other significant differences, looking at page 3 and 14, because you see that 38,000 to use that as a target. That's only over here. If you look over the right-hand column for Pelican Reserve and pond bank improvement, which is a capital improvement, they got 600,000. But we chose over there, they have chosen to keep it all in their O&M. They fund everything rather than going out for guidance. So that's one of the differences.
Because you have the solidity there, because you started way ahead of us.
I understand.
Yeah, and which is the right,
But there's a difference in that.
Yeah.
Want to make sure.
What's the
Yeah,
law? Yeah.
But
And that's
that's
why
right,
when you
it's an
look at the-
alternative, that's an option.
When you look at the capital page, it says there's no capital for Pelican.
but there is just an element.
But we do it in the O&M, we do it as we go along.
So with Laura's math,
I would say if we go using the 5 years, you're basically funding 20% of the projects that you're expecting to do in the next 5 years. So,
or you can choose to do a percentage, 25%, 50% of the 1.2 from your capital reserve study.
yep, I just need to know how you want to handle it.
What's
And
the
I'll
cheapest
plug it.
thing to impact our homeowners?
The 20% of,
That's where I'm gonna come down. We're already hitting a significant increase,
Yeah, that's,
and the enterprise fund.
just as long as we know that we go that route, we're gonna have to generate revenue sometime,
Somewhere.
later on down the road.
Sooner or later, you're gonna pay,
You're gonna pay.
because you're gonna run out.
Yep. I agree.
All right.
Okay, so use the average of the 5 next years, okay? All right, I will plug those in, it's gonna take a little work, I'll have to work with Russ and Steven to get those numbers plugged in, because it changes some of the tables. All right, any other questions on the budget then? That was really the only thing that I needed input from you on. That was the only thing that I needed input from you on.
Do you have a ham sandwich in that bag?
Bob needs his sugar.
is there any other questions?
And then as you're going through these, if you have any questions when you look at the silos and how the things come in, please call me or email me or whatever, and I'm more than happy to walk through it.
Any other questions regarding?
When
budget?
Laura went over this today, it is very clear in my head, I understood it all, until I got home.
It all makes sense.
Don't go home.
It is much easier to decipher than the
On
one
that
that we
basis,
used
get
last
going,
year.
because don't let it change his mind.
So do you guys have any other questions about the budget as a whole?
All right,
So I have one final thing about the town lakes. Depending on how quick we can get this title stuff and we can get this paperwork done,
Hopefully by the next meeting, we'll get an idea of what.
we need to make a determination about
Whether we status
for
quo.
high water.
correct. It was $7,300
Is this our
this year.
official high watered out, with the exception of one?
No, because I have to plug in that reserve, that's not in there.
Okay.
And
Other
maybe-
than that,
And maybe town lakes.
And maybe
Yes.
town lakes,
okay.
yes.
So
It's very close.
can we go out and have somebody just do an analysis to make sure we're that $90,000 or $100,000?
We already are.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, nothing else for E?
Is Carol on the line a little bit late?
No, she's not.
She's
Okay.
very sick.
All right,
All right, Russ, I guess you're free to go. Have a good night.
thank you.
Are you ready to move to?
Monthly
this-
reports?
Yep, just one thing before I turn it over to Laura for the admin monthly report. The audit RFP is due, I believe, tomorrow. You, as a board, will turn your hat and be the audit selection committee. That's it's a requirement per statute. So that will not be at the next meeting. We're going to push that to the second meeting in June. We will get you all of that, all of the bids and all of the information well in advance of the meeting, as well as selection criteria. And if you have any questions, you can contact myself or Randy.
This is for employing our auditor.
Yes.
Those people that always miss their target date for telling us that we got it.
Yeah.
They didn't miss it this year.
I'm still trying to get my 2023 audit on my HOA. They forgot us.
The 2023?
2023,
Oh.
they forgot us.
Hi, Bill.
All right. Anything for Laura for admin monthly report?
Have none.
When will we see Rev 2? When are we gonna work on this again? And we'll be seeing
Now,
the next
tomorrow.
iteration.
She's going to work on it tomorrow.
But you're not gonna see it tomorrow. You will see it no later than 1 week before the June 5th meeting.
Okay.
It could be sooner, but it's a living, breathing document, and I want to make sure that all the Ts are crossed and all the Is are dotted before you guys get it on.
And Russ and Stephen have to do some double checks.
Yes, we need, the three of us will be working together,
Oh,
yes.
All right,
So no
Okay,
question?
the sheet that has, at this point in time, what the allocations are for golf courses, is that part of?
That's what Russ and Stephen have to work on.
Yes,
So
and
that's not
it's
been
changed.
changed since what I got in my packet?
Yes, it's changed.
But I'm not getting it tonight.
No, you're not,
Because
because
it
it's
changed
not
again.
complete, because
And
you
when I
guys
get it,
just
it'll
made
be
more
number
changes.
2, Rev 2, or 3, or,
Rev 2.
they're all not gonna be Rev 1.
Well, this is proposed version 1, but just for you, I will make it version 2.
Or 1.1, I mean, I don't care, I want to be able to differentiate.
2, as it's supposed
2.
to.
You want 2? You want number 2?
It'll be
I don't care.
just for Bob.
Moving on.
All right, so any questions for admin for Laura? Here none? Go ahead, any questions for Bill?
One thing on bills, we're having issues with meters and stuff like that, and got some replaced over in our community, so we'll see what happens when we do the wet check.
Yeah, they've both been replaced.
Staff did a great job on those two, getting them fixed and everything.
Thank you.
All right. I just have one question. Has Magnolia Lakes homeowner reached out to you to move that?
No, not to my knowledge.
Not to me.
What? Good. I do have one. When are we gonna try to locate that sewer manhole over in Callaway Greens? That sewer manhole we couldn't find, it's in the pavement, that comes off the golf course and serves all Cypress Links, comes down. I have a feeling it fell off the scope.
It has fallen off the radar.
Yeah, we have a manhole that is missing.
Okay.
Okay,
One that was out there on the golf
we'll
course.
go ahead and take a 2-minute break because we don't have a quorum.
We
Yeah.
can't talk right now.
Anyway,
silence.
that's what it was. It was a manhole.
Hurry up. And,
Did
On
you
that
not
note-
want the granola bar?
no, I don't.
You have to, you want the granola bar? All right, Laura wants it.
Does it have raisins in it? Then,
It has cinnamon, that's how.
She got hit with the Snickers moment, so like.
I'll have it.
You're not you when you're hungry.
Actually, I was wrong. They actually did email asking for a quote from you guys to reallocate, because we won't tell the homeowner until I have a price. I think it's an email to Leslie. Thank you. It was like, this is my dinner.
We need to talk offline, because there's bigger issues. We can't.
Oh, that sounds better. Just send me the email.
Okay, we can't do it.
Just tell them I can do it.
And it's in the parcel, we don't own, we don't have access to it.
Oh, but the HOA is willing to give it to you. We'll talk. I love Bill. He says so much without saying anything.
Oh,
You get that look
he
on
says
the
it all
top,
of
like,
it.
He says it all, and she just looks at me, and the whole conversation.
And to, so.
All right,
to
so
the-
we're back to 505.
To the sewer thing, we've got the pilot vendors mobilizing in the next 3 weeks.
I know, that's why I want to find that manhole.
No, the meter project, the
Oh, the meter
the
project.
actual new pilot meters. So we'll get that back on the docket, but it's probably not gonna be for a month.
No, what now?
To follow up on that missing, where we couldn't find
No, I'm
it.
talking about a sanitary sewer
I
manhole.
know, I'm saying staff we have 3 different pilot vendors coming in right
Oh,
now. We've got a
okay.
lot on our plate.
Okay.
It'll.
I just want to make sure we get it.
Where was it at?
Yeah.
It's when you come into Callaway Greens, you have that median.
Uh-huh.
We measured it off as best we could. It's somewhere under the blacktop at the end of the median.
All right. Got it. Anything else for Mr. Shaw?
As you're going in, the end of the meeting.
At the end of the median as you're going, when you go in, when you get to the end of the median, it's right there.
Okay.
And it's coming off the golf course.
All right. Nothing else for Mr. Shaw?
No.
Anything for Paul? He might not answer all, I'll
Thank you.
help, we'll tag team this report, but anything for Paul?
Hey, Paul.
Couple questions.
Me too. Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, the bathymetric surveys and sediment, for 26, 124,000, is that in the budget right now?
That is in the bond, we did not put it in,
So it's bond,
it's bond money.
okay. All right. The surface water area, 179,000,
In the bond.
that's also bond. And the master irrigation we talked about today?
Bond
No.
not paid for by Pelican.
No,
Bond,
But bond.
no, I know that, I just want to see how we're hoping that either they get some grants maybe, or,
But bond.
or, okay. All right. Thank you, that's all I have.
You have anything? I have. Okay, I just have follow-up, and I did follow up with staff this morning when I was here. Matt Tower regarding lake maintenance.
okay?
One feedback that I had given Leo and Stephanie. Okay. Because I did observe on a few ponds. So we talked about the band, right, the 10 to 12 feet band, and I think Ed and I talked about this. So when they're doing the maintenance, so they will do 2 types of maintenance in each pond. They'll be spraying the rock from the grass down prior to the littorals. And then the littoral treatment has to be done by the boat from the inside out. And that's not what they're doing. They're doing spray from the entire rock, and then they're spraying 2 to 3 feet of the littoral band starting from the rock end. But then that's not gonna help us, so we just need to communicate with the vendor. So they have to do both, so spraying in the rocks, and then maintenance of the littoral has to be from the inside of the pond, otherwise we're never gonna control that band.
So,
We got a lot of rock, a lot of.
And right
fabric
now,
starting
right,
to
yeah,
show
and right now is the time.
so, talk to staff
Before the water. gets
today. The new vendor is getting their feet, but we are planning on having a sit-down meeting with them to address some of these issues.
Yeah, that's an interesting development because we only have rock in a couple of places in Pelican. So we are been very free of having our littorals close to the high water mark, which is ideal. But if you have an 8-foot gap,
Yeah.
you're kind of losing the
So-
benefit
so-
of.
Exactly, and that's what I don't wanna see, and
Erosion.
aesthetically, it looks horrific, you
Yeah.
know, so.
If we had littorals right now in our ponds, they'd all be dead.
Yeah.
No, ours are not dead.
You know.
A lot of
Ours
them
not
are,
that neither, because they're established, so
Some-
they
some
kind
of
of
them
like
are-
naturally.
they don't look good.
But yeah, they're
They'll
sturdy.
come back.
Yeah, exactly that. And then I
Ours is
have,
dry as a bone.
I have 2 other questions, you won't know the answer, that's why I noticed a ton of screws on the new fountain. When I say a ton, it's probably 100.
Screws?
Yeah, so did we screw the entire fountain all the way around to put the holiday decorations?
There was, but they're coming out Monday to do repairs on cracks on warranty work. And then staff is going to be repainting it.
Would we screw
That's
stucco?
That's not, the reason why I'm saying that is because of water intrusion. I want to know, was the holiday people the one that put screws in and put the lights? Because if they did, then I need staff to go evaluate that, because it needs to be silicone, it needs to have water protection, because that's what happened with the other monuments.
We just did, before we painted all of our monuments, we sent our handyman in, took all the screws out
Because
and
that's the
reclocked.
worst thing for it.
And they told us, don't ever do that again.
We met with the county, the engineering team, and the fountain people are gonna come out and, because it's not only that, there's some cracks too. It's all under warranty. They're gonna come out Monday, so it's gonna look ugly next week because they're filling it with silicone.
Okay, I don't have a problem with the warranty work, that's separate. I have a problem with us taking a brand new structure, regardless if you're warranty or not, and putting a ton of holes with screws, which is something that was a problem
Yep.
30 years, 20, 15 years. Because if it is the people that did the holiday, all I'm telling you is that they put a screw, and if they didn't go through, they just move it on, there's a hole, there's a screw, there's a hole,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have a problem, so.
That's what happened last.
So I would be opposed of putting it, the amount of screws that are in that fountain is crazy. And then also algae, we're having some algae issues.
Staff, so we were contracting the maintenance of that fountain
That
out.
filter was
out.
horrible.
We have since taken that
In-house,
in-house,
I figured it was.
and Mark's team is tackling it. We're close to getting it clear.
Yeah,
But you're gonna see some warranty work, that, and then staff is gonna be repainting it, giving it a refresh, because the chlorine from the fountain and the white marks down the wall, we're taking those services.
but then again, Chelsea, I'll be honest with you, we're not running that fountain to specs. The fountain is too high when it's windy, and I know we have requests for the fountain to be windy, because it is, well, if it's not, it is not working properly.
Listen, you and I can talk about that, because I fought that tooth and nail, that it was an engineering flaw,
Mhm.
not that you're banking on the wind. You can't ask Daniel Nathan, but I have emails that I keep questioning about the engineering design, and
Okay, when I talked to Daniel, there's a sensitivity on the wind gauge.
Yes.
Right? And originally, it was right on point, which people were complaining that the fountain wasn't shooting high enough. So then I know it was CISO that requested it to be put the sensor as the high as it can go. By doing that, it was just putting water all over the place and bleaching everywhere. And I told Chelsea, no, we're gonna
Kill
run
the
this
plants.
fountain, we're gonna run this fountain the way it's meant to be run, you know?
We,
So we adjusted, so that's my question, we
Yes.
adjusted it,
yes. we
and I was
adjusted that.
checking to see if it's worked, because I'm telling you, every time I go by, it is full on 3 feet in the air.
Are we using irrigation water or potable water? It
Potable,
is
but
potable.
the amount of the bleach there is heavy,
It's chlorine. yeah.
chlorine, whatever, yeah, thinking.
So-
So if you can just check on that
Yep,
for me,
we
to
can
make
go
sure that
check.
when it is working, because I don't disagree that it may has put down, but I just visually, because I drive often, I don't see it lowering
Yeah.
and looking as much as I used to before.
Yep.
And then that's it. That's all I have.
Okay, I took my notes, I'll follow up. Thank you.
All
I can
right.
tell you just one quick at the fountain, there's been a couple times I've left after work when it's super windy and there's nothing going up at all, so it was.
And then at night, I
Working, but-
noticed the lights shut off, but but between like 10:30 and midnight, sometimes the lights are not on, and it's really,
The lights are on a timer, so, but I can
Okay.
have, when they look at the
just to
wind
check the
days,
timer,
they-
because I always keep thinking like,
Well, does
oh,
the fountain run at night too?
24/7.
You might want to look at turning it off. I mean, we turned off our fountains in Pelican, saved like $50,000 a year on electric on the 3 main fountains we had.
It's not the electric that's the cost, it's the water.
Okay, ours was electric.
It comes to ourselves, it goes to general fund.
We just pay
You
ourselves.
go over there at
Right.
7:30 in the
Back
morning, they're
pocket
not
to
on.
front pocket.
Right,
So, but if the board would like us to look at shutting it off, you know,
I wouldn't want
If it
that.
saves money, I mean, I'm all for saving money.
You gotta do it.
Who sees it at midnight?
I
Nobody.
wouldn't want to do that, because the amount of flashback that we're gonna get, because me personally, like, we can go the majority of the board wants, just given that it's such a focal point, we'll never hear the end of it. We spent the 2 million, which wasn't our money, it was the county, but in their mind is us.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, for me,
Well, I'm all about saving $1.
Everybody still thinks we paid for
Pay
that.
for it,
fountain.
yeah.
They don't
we could
listen.
try turning it off from 12 to 3 for a week and see if we get
See if
feedback.
you get any comments.
let's go ahead, so we don't, nothing else on
Parks and
the
Rec.
report, so we'll go ahead, propose L. Harris linear park.
Why, we're not finished Parks and Rec, have we?
Parks and Rec is
Yeah,
in
that was-
public works.
that was-
We did all it.
What do you
Oh,
have?
I didn't finish my questions, I stopped with the word.
Go ahead.
All right, the community bulletin board for $36,000 is on page 273. Is that is that done? Is that already been approved, or is it?
There's two, which one is that one? The 36,000, I believe it was a soccer complex one.
It says community billboard, message board,
At the soccer
provided by
complex.
PrAC.
So that's the one with the soccer field.
So is that bond money, or is that,
No, that would be new money.
Park.
did we vote on that? Yep. Have we?
No, it's part of the capital
So
budget.
it's something to discuss?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. The 2 million for the common amenities, 2,596,000, funded only by general fund bonds, pickleball court, softball, basketball, not softball, basketball, paddleball, trailhead playground. That's money we've already allocated?
Yes.
That's part of the bond?
2023 bond.
Okay, now there's nothing in 26, 27, 28, even though we know there's possibly stages offering to the board to do that. Correct?
Yeah, the committee wants it in 2027, so we'll update that for future discussions with the board.
Okay, and then the last 300,000 is parks and rec fields, amenities, 300,000.
Bond.
Okay. All these bond numbers, it's all gonna show up in the tax bill sooner or later, right? I mean, that's another $3 million.
The Gateway residents have already seen that as part of last year's tax bill, or this year, I guess, tax.
What of November, the tax bill you paid
Yes.
at the end of '24.
So they started seeing that cost.
Well, not you and Pelican, but.
No, I'm
Yeah,
looking
we
at all
already had
that.
it one.
Yep, the first year was this last tax bill.
Okay, now I'm caught up. Go ahead.
Nothing else from monthly reports?
No, so go ahead, move to propose L. Harris linear park.
This one was, you requested this, again, we don't need to, but it would be nice to identify the linear park. It doesn't necessarily have to tie Elle's name into it, but we thought with her retiring and serving 18 plus years here at the district, that the linear park would maybe most appropriate. If the board doesn't like that idea, we can come up with an alternative idea, but the point with the linear park is it touches a lot of things that her career has touched. That's ponds, that's parks and rec, that's conservation areas, wildlife, et cetera. So,
Like 26,000 is awful small.
My question was, I believe it was either 15 or 25,000 that we had set aside, the PrAC had set aside for the Linear Park. So
Yes.
to me, and that's the question I had for Chelsea, it's like, regardless what we name it, that was the cost, and that was the cost that was gonna be there from now on. But I just don't recall if it was 25 or
it's
15,000.
25.
Then, was it when we were going to do it then? Remember how we asked to put in that path,
Yeah.
the additional like asphalt? And then you said, okay, let's go ahead and look at the signs, and we're talking about 3 years ago.
Yeah,
But that, they never came to fruition because we wanted to do a sign that matches with everything else.
Yes.
So we had
Branding.
talked about it and we had agreed on that it needed to be done. The naming of it is just something totally different. So my question was, regardless what we name it, that's the cost, $25,000. And we're looking at, can you just open the?
Yeah.
the sign. So that matches the
Which
John
is
Yar.
the bare
Yarborough.
minimum exactly sign over there.
Okay.
And are we required to do 2 locations? Or are you
Not
proposing 3?
We're not required to do 2 locations.
I would think 1.
Not one at each end?
I mean, as the budget allows.
The reason why I would be okay with 1, the only reason why is because if you start here on Griffin, and that's probably the location where I would have put the sign, if you go all the way down to the end, almost by the Pelican Service Road, it ends in the middle, and then you have gravel and sod, and then you have road. It doesn't tie into anything. So to me, if we're gonna do it, we could do this one in phases, and we could do just the entrance in Griffin, and even the entrance on the other side, because it needs more planning.
Yes.
You need to either,
I've seen them on other sections of linear parks in Fort Myers.
can we pull in the map? I wanna show Bob what I'm talking about,
Well, you're gonna put this right over here on the drive.
yeah.
Okay. The only thing I see is that right off the bat, I don't think the FPL is gonna allow anything over 15 feet.
14 feet.
Yeah, I just
That
saw that
sign height
number,
is
we'll
too
have to
high.
reduce.
Yeah, no, it's 14, because I remember Tony talking about when we talk about Parks and Rec, cannot exceed
And the
14
clues,
feet.
the trees that we
You
put.
gotta go the other way.
Yeah, well,
Go in the
no,
wrong direction.
no, you do,
No, I'm going the right way, because there's the
yeah,
pool.
the right way, you do the right way.
Or down here, or you're
No,
talking
no,
about
no,
here.
I'm talking about where you were going before.
Oh,
You're right,
by Pelican. by the-
Yes.
Okay, that's right. I'm like, I thought it was up here.
keep going.
Oh, I thought you were gonna put it
No.
over here.
No, yes,
Right here.
but right here, you zoom in. See, Bob, the reason why I wouldn't do there, because you see,
That's
now,
by the access
do
road.
you see show where the road ends?
Nobody can see it.
It ends like way up here.
It ends right here, and then you have all this, so I think it would be pointless. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Well, you guys did ask for us to get pricing on, making that, tying it in, and then putting it, and requesting the county put a crosswalk there, so we're working on that.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
Then when the crosswalk comes, then we just do the other part, you know?
And I'm not anti-L at all, but I'm naming it after her, I mean, Miss Minimal.
I've had people ask me, what the hell's that all about?
yeah, I don't know what to
Especially
name
over
it,
here,
but,
when you talk about littorals, because that's not a happy subject.
I would kind of rather see
A revenue-
GFCDD.
Would this be a revenue maker, like anybody wanted to naming rights of
Yeah,
this?
we could,
I'd be
No,
open to that.
somebody
pay for
wanna,
it.
But
somebody wanna do naming rights for it and pay for it.
to me, it would have more sight of people looking at it if it's put right over here.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, right?
Instead of down there, because you're gonna.
Well, that's why I don't want it
see
down there, because you can't even see it.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
she's saying, don't put it there,
Yeah.
at least not until we finish them.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
we just.
Well, I'm
have to-
okay with the concept.
Of the sign, not the name.
Yeah, I'd like to be open to possible names.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
We could get Tony
We'll keep
Pierce's
going.
law from, but Tony.
that's one, you know, really, you want it?
Piers? Parkway.
Yeah, there we go.
Here's
Well, it goes with
way.
PP like Pelican
Finally,
Preserve.
Tony's way.
Directional too,
Have to have
The
a
Pelican Preserve linear park.
There you go, really?
I'll have to have a 1-800 number.
the path to Pelican Preserve.
It's this way.
You just go across the street, down to Construction Road, hop a couple fences, and you're there.
And it'll have an observation deck.
They got great fishing.
Put a sign under it, Mutter's welcome.
Oh.
Gateway Greens goes discount.
Okay.
All right, so then we move on, so you got that.
I'm handing out, Bob actually had handed in, his review after the packet was published, so this is.
The package, they published too early.
And I did notice mine.
You guys
was
complain
scanned-
that we don't do it
Mine
right
was
now.
scanned, one page.
Yeah, no, that was intentional. Tony did it because your names were not on all of them. So there's the original copy that you sent in, and then there's a second copy where Tony added your names, but that's.
Just for sunshine law purposes, to make sure we have a record.
And so for next year, I actually added a little field on the bottom. It says completed by, so you can fill that out on every page.
Thank you.
You can see my comments, I reviewed it with Chelsea. I had the old form filled out too.
I saw that.
That was in time. I don't know how we changed it. How come we didn't have 5 categories? Then we had 5, now we got 4. But I guess we already discussed that before.
I think we talked about this prior, like renaming, right, the 1 through 4. Yeah.
Instead of 1 to 5.
Yep. The changes that were made to the form that you guys.
Because she
did
has
this
one
year
that does not meet, and, what was the additional one that we remember, do you remember? I don't remember.
The open-ended questions I found to be very helpful.
Yeah.
It's a good place to.
Converse.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we want to start with this? This is, what does this say, Bob? Oh, wait, this
This
is.
is,
Bob.
that's because that's.
I thought this was a summary, I was like,
No,
oh,
he
something
handed this
different.
in after the fact.
This is on when it counts.
I don't have it, it's not in the board, no.
Yeah, I was-
My emails.
I was doing this.
I think with Doug and Carol both
You're gonna
gone,
send it to the
we
board
should
anymore,
forego
huh?
this.
Wait,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
agree
there's
with
only
that.
3 of us here.
I agree.
yeah, okay. And then it'll be.
Well,
And
the
what I
first
would-
time we delayed it.
And then it would be
what I would like-
retroactive.
And what I would like to see is a
A tally?
compilation.
Yeah, this
yes,
is-
a
I have it.
Thank you.
I have it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and then.
If we can pause, let me pull that up so you at least can see it.
She's gonna send it to the board.
Yeah, if you've got that, let's have it.
Yeah, we
so
have
can
it,
look
I
at
have
it.
it.
I saw you started to do it, and I thought I was gonna do that, and then I got to his, I thought, what am I doing this for?
I know, I got to yours and I was like, what is that bingo here? I gave up.
I was confused, I didn't know what I was doing.
I have to.
Hang on just a minute.
Senior moment.
So you have it as a handout, or you just
I,
gonna forward it?
Can you just email
I had to
it to
shut my
us?
computer
Just
onto my
email it
battery
to
with
us, as far
the.
as I'm sure.
Yeah, just email it to all of us.
All right, I can do
Well, I
that.
think I
I'll
got
put
it.
my HR hat
I
on.
didn't get it, no, I didn't get it.
The only one you got in that attachment was me? Because I wasn't, I
No,
saw
no,
what
no,
you
no.
did.
Yeah, I know, no, we're talking about tallying it out, like,
Yeah,
you know.
but I mean, okay,
there's-
I can manually do that.
Yeah, but she said she has it, so she's gonna send it to us and we're gonna talk about it at
Okay.
our
No,
next meeting.
that was just me.
I think also, from the
Yeah.
standpoint of
I was
the,
looking for my share, but.
whatever action the board decides to take, the effective date, I can't recall what we did last year.
It was
can't be
It was
retroactive.
retroactive, just to make sure so we could have that same date or something.
It could not be retroactive?
I thought you said that you couldn't do retroactive pay, you can't pay somebody for past
You
service.
can't, well, you can't pay for activities already occurred, but the idea was supposed to do it at a certain point in time every year.
Okay,
If I
and it was on
recollect.
our anniversary, like,
Correct.
it was right around the same time, within a day or two of
Okay.
last year.
May,
Well,
13th, I think.
May 16th is when you started. And then you had the initial bonus was June 15th. So if we could do it by June 5,
I prefer not to have my district review at the June
Yeah, that's a public hearing meeting.
June 5th meeting where we adopt the final budget, but that's why we had it for today, but.
Why can't we move it, when's?
Why can't we just not finish this meeting and then maybe try to reconvene late next week?
I mean, it's at the
Because I
end,
have Doug on the phone and Carol over the phone, that's the only topic.
it's at the end, I mean, it's at the end of the meeting, so.
I don't care, doesn't make a difference, but I just think that the 2 of them need to
Well,
have.
I agree, you should do this in a public meeting.
Yeah, so how about do you want to reach out to Doug and Carol and see if there's a
Continue
possibility?
this
And we
meeting
just
to a date
continue this
next week.
meeting that works for them?
Is Carol out of town?
No, she's sick.
I'd rather, with her being sick, I'd rather give her
She's
some
afraid of
time.
coming over here.
Give her some time to, well,
You guys heard
we
her
can do
last
it on the 5th, it's fine, it's always at the end of the meeting, so.
Here's the summary.
Ed tripped her last time.
Anyway,
It's good that he doesn't have his hearing.
you can push it to the 5th. That's fine. That'll give me the
Okay, this-
opportunity to sit down with
You're
anybody.
gonna send us this here?
Yeah, I can do that.
Have you sat down with everybody or no?
No, I haven't yet, no.
I sat
So
down
that'll work.
with Flavia, with Bob, and with Carol. So I'll sit down with, that'll be
Okay,
me.
so then,
Like
the
you
next
can
one,
start
okay,
with
perfect,
that.
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so you're good with this then?
6:30 had a quick.
I'll email this to you guys.
That's what I was saying, I just needed her to confirm with Doug if they can come on the
The
29th.
29th is a regular Thursday anyway, we're all
Yeah.
usually committed to.
Oh, wait, I won't be here in the 29th.
Oh, my God, never mind.
Oh, by the
Back
way,
to Brazil.
no, by the way, here, you told me that at the last meeting, I only missed one meeting, okay? Just the same as you.
Yeah, that's because we always accept you, but you're never here.
You need my presence here, you need my
Absolutely.
physical body at this meeting, okay? Noted.
I do, Mom.
Okay.
All right, we already did 13.
I always worry about it, I was like, man, am I missing stuff?
So is there a
Okay.
motion to continue
Well,
the
we'll
line
do it at the end of the
review?
meeting, right?
Continue until the,
29th.
No,
Oh,
no,
that doesn't
June
work.
19th, just do a regular board meeting.
move, no, move it to
June
June
5th.
5th.
The June 5th.
oh, then it's not a continuation. It's just tabled until.
Table it to June 5th.
Table June 5th.
Okay.
Maybe take it up as a first order of business that day before everything else goes on, no?
It can be last.
Okay.
Public hearing is there, so
Okay.
yeah, I understand.
Is that a day we have a workshop?
Yes,
But she doesn't want in the beginning, she wants it at the end.
because we have a public hearing that day as well.
Okay.
That's the
So
high
the-
watermark for the budget
For
that
the
day.
public
so
hearing,
we
High
want
water,
people here.
that's right,
Yeah.
that's right, okay. Gotcha.
All right.
Okay. And you're gonna send that, so, okay.
Yep,
All right, so then go ahead and move district attorney items.
I'll get the packet updated to include Bob's
Okay,
updated one.
and then I'm gonna send you the last page too, that you update that.
Yeah, please, send it to me and I'll make sure that
Okay.
PDF gets updated.
Go down to Genope, the rest of, I think we're almost at the finish line of Genope Services Agreement, that's IT services.
Did you happen to see they did send something over this afternoon saying that they were good with everything, they were gonna draft the final thing and send it off?
That's my understanding, but
Yep.
I've not read a tax been handling that, so that'd be wonderful to get that out of the
I
way.
see he was in transition.
We have, I think, we're still waiting on the signed parcels. Irrigation meters, Charles Mann said he was going to get it to us as soon as ASAP, as they were going back to the records of USO and Lennar, WCI, trying to ascertain the correct entity, because of all the various entities are involved in the bankruptcy in a number of documents after that. So Charles has been very helpful the last week on trying to wrap that up. So hopefully that'll work timely enough for the pilot program and the meter program. The various, then we go back to, down to Stony Brook roads and streets. Again, we know where we are in that. Appreciate the board's action. Santa Luz, I have my direction as to how to proceed on that. We've been pestering their council. The public hearing for the rates and fees, that's coming up, that's been finalized. Pelican Reserve, that's on hold, the irrigation. Just what's going on with the MOU lease with Lee County? on this sort of thing?
They have to reach out to county lands.
Okay,
They've got some internal discussions on how to do it.
okay. In the Chamberlain lawsuit, that was the slip and fall, trip and fall allegedly at the Sherman Soccer Complex, and worked through and contacted the carrier retained counsel, and they were kind enough to send me the proposed responses to the lawsuit.
What are they asking for?
More than 50,000. That's all they have to allege, more than 50,000. And we have a sovereign immunity cap of greatest exposure is $200,000 unless we have, so that's under sovereign immunity. The finalizing, I got a touch behind a Tetra Tech contract vis-a-vis the CDBG requirements. That's on my radar to get that to Chelsea. Daniels Parkway Apartments utility issues, we have finalized internally, and I think we provided them with the upsize agreement. But the well agreement, I have my final comments back from Tetra Tech today. The folks from Daniels Parkway or DD Parkway are wanting to get that in hand, and so Chelsea, after you look at it, maybe we just have a call with Stephen, his comments are, and so we can, I want to get that out to Brennan right away. So if we can set up a Teams call maybe tomorrow afternoon, that'd be wonderful.
We love the Friday afternoon meeting.
Only because I have another meeting in the morning that I've got, I'm sorry, I don't problem,
3:30.
trust me.
We're fine.
You know, like Monday morning meetings and Friday afternoon meetings are,
Monday morning's not so bad, Friday afternoons suck.
sorry. The Town Lakes Office Park, I have a new direction from the board to try to wrap it up, that would be nice. Gateway Greens, we're still waiting the inspections and repair, I don't know where we are on that.
Oh, that, we're done.
I know, it's
I
done.
told Chelsea, so we need to get Stephen just to come in and look at it,
Yeah,
but we're done.
I sent a notice to Tetra Tech, so as soon as I get confirmation based on the letter that they gave us previously, we'll bring it back in front of the board.
Okay, now have a dollar amount for remedial actions or?
They did all the work.
Oh, wow, okay. So I think, if I recall correctly too, I think the documents are in good form from market damage perspective. I
The
feel that.
only thing that we had was the, getting those two inlets raised.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Mark's work on that, working with him is really, it's been very good. He's a good guy to work with. He's accessible all the time. And that's all I have. That's the only question.
No questions, I don't have anything for Tony.
No.
Nothing for Tony? Bob, nothing for Tony? No
No,
questions?
nothing else for Tony.
What-
I like some of these things that aren't current, maybe to slip down to the bottom rather than being, like you skip.
Okay, I'll roll them up.
Yeah, just hit the high points up top and then.
Okay, I'll do that.
Tony's constantly taking throws from Chelsea, too.
He
so-
loves updating this thing.
One question I got when we were doing all of these papers, how is it that West Links, what was it called? West Links Office Park, how did that road get dedicated? I found no copies of a complaint deed, nothing of that being sent to the CDD, and we've been maintaining that road since Christ was a child. How'd that happen?
I don't know, I've not performed research on that.
West Links?
West Links is, if you look at it, it's assigned to us.
Uh-huh,
It was a POA, it was dissolved.
uh-huh.
What was the method that they got that road to us that we couldn't use for
We'll have to.
the rest of
We can
these?
look that up.
Well, I guess the question is, if LIPA shows that, again, LIPA is not always accurate as to the ownership of it, it's not evidence of ownership. It's an indication of what the property appraiser, based upon some document, believes is owned by a particular entity. That's not the definitive.
My thought was, is that if it was successful and it happened, how do we find out how it happened so that we can repeat it?
For
Okay.
Town Lakes.
No, for Fairway Lakes and Worthington.
Oh.
Those are other two nightmares.
But the good thing is, I guess we can work with Vince if he's willing, so the other ones are,
That's huge, yes.
I mean, that's our biggest thing right there. All right, so nothing
I'll
else?
put that on my list to do some digging.
Yeah, I did have one other.
Go ahead, Tony. I mean, Bob, sorry.
And I don't know if we discussed this here, but was contact made between you and PPCA's attorneys?
Yes.
Is there anything to report, or is that going to be later, or what?
I did have a conversation, and I sent her a follow-up email that I hadn't done it, where I sent the board to find the invitation for the mediation. And then we had a conversation that we'd rather have not on the record.
Okay, so we'll just follow the both of us. Okay.
Are you going to talk to us individually, or?
I gave individual board.
Yeah.
That'll be great, okay, fine.
Perfect. All right.
It's just that I knew that conversation took place yesterday.
All right. So future board business, agenda management, anything that Chelsea needs to adjust, anything, any questions for her on the agenda management?
Just want to bring to your attention that, I forgot to mention earlier, FPL will be mobilizing to the area again on May 27th to finish
Continue.
finish the
Gateway-
project. So there will be
gateway
lane closures, MOT, all that fun stuff. So they did get their permit, so. there
That's
were-
going pretty smoothly over here.
If Flavia stays out of it.
Flavia stays walking on Griffin.
Look, it's going smoothly,
Because
but
of me.
I'm concerned as to what's going to happen, because the median between the sidewalk, or the grass strip between the sidewalk and the curb, all where they're at, is dead,
Yeah.
is dead.
Due to their efforts or
Yes.
the lack of
I don't
irrigation?
know why it's dead, but it's dead.
We've reduced all of our irrigation to 1 day a week. to
No,
manage.
Still, it
no.
wouldn't be, it wouldn't
He's
be
talking
dead
about a
like that.
specific location, in which I do have pictures while they're working on it, so, and I think it's the picture that I showed Daniel. The area they were working on was nice and green, and then now it's dead, because that's what the hives are. That's- Yeah.
Paul needs to go down there and take a look, or, I don't know, that's not Paul, that's,
Paul, Angel,
no, that
Angel,
irrigation would be him. That would be,
Angel. Angel.
yeah. Trying to think, I wanted to say Bill Shaw. The issue is somebody needs to go down there and look at it, because it is dead,
Send me the location.
just dead.
and we'll-
Just everything north of Walden Lakes is dead. The green grass strip.
And I think it was, I mean, I'm totally speculating, but I think something broke and they shut it off, because the picture that I
That's
have.
exactly what I
Because
think.
do you remember the picture I had? It was nothing but mud. It's like I have a foot of mud in between that area when the guys were working. So the picture that I sent Daniel, I may even have it. It's
But-
exactly
but
what
to
it
me,
And
is.
they didn't turn it back on?
Yeah.
to
No,
me, for
they
that-
capped it, and then because I complained because they were doing the job right, and then they just left.
To me, for that to happen, Mainscape would have been the one I would have thought that would shut it off.
Yeah.
And I,
We'll find out where the
I'm
wet
not
check was.
communicating.
Yeah, how often do they do wet checks? Is that
Once-
Once a month. Well, they're supposed to do once a month. All right, so no other questions for Chelsea and agenda
One
management?
final note, just where we discussed at the last meeting about the president's council meeting and reducing those, so we canceled the Hampton Park one, and then we're keeping the, whatever the next one is.
October one.
October.
And it's gonna be here,
Okay, perfect.
we're not going elsewhere.
All right, that's fine. All right, so we'll go ahead and move to supervisor comments. I'll start with you, Bob.
Okay, I have one comment to bring up. It has to do with conservation areas. So I'll show you these.
Hey, out of the Pelican funds, it's color conservation.
This is a conservation area. Don't be, everything isn't negative. Come on. Okay, there's 4 areas. This is kind of like our landscape.
Three.
Three.
This is my nickel.
Okay,
I got 4 areas of the top.
okay.
Okay, the first one is on the upper right-hand, left-hand side. You see the big red circle? That is a conservation area designation that I believe Pelican has in their contract and has been maintained.
So about just north of the fire department.
C5, yeah.
Just
Yeah,
north of the
that
fire
area.
department.
Yep. The second area is the circle on the right-hand side, upper, and that's conservation area 52?
Yeah, 52.
And that historically has been, at least we have referred to it as gateway, and we're not doing it. I don't know that.
I don't know that anybody's doing it,
Well,
to tell you the
that's
truth.
probably true. And all we're trying to do is get to the point.
Gateway's doing this one.
Okay.
It's right next to the 13 total on the golf course.
Well, I don't know about that, but okay. It looks like it's a golf course holder. And then the lower right is conservation area 50, that apparently is also, we had thought, up to now, Pelican had thought that this was a gateway conservation. So the questions are simply, we should decide, we need to talk about that and figure out who should be paying for these. In my own, very magnanimous opinion, they're outside the gate. None of these are inside. Pelican can't even get to 50 or 52 unless we come all the way around. But that's something that we do need to decide.
But I think it wasn't, this is easy, if it is gateway to base for
Well,
it.
hold on.
That's the question. Is it gateway? We don't know
So
that.
the nomenclature on this was dictated by staff and Passarella, not our permit. That's not required for our permit, so.
Without research,
Without research. So
just historical.
What is that big Johnson map? I've got one at home. What does it say? How's
I
it
don't know that I
identify?
have that.
What-
It's got to identify, broken down, the Pelican Reserve, conservation areas, and wet ponds, and
Al
gateway.
did one too.
That's a big one. I've got one at home.
The GWPP is a district nomenclature. I don't know that there's been actual research into it. So with
I can
this,
tell you there wasn't research because I was part of it.
okay,
And we were trying to get away from having pond number 17 and 17A
Yeah.
and 23B and all that.
so what,
Is your just question is who's doing it?
So but here's,
Who belongs to, and then the financial responsibility should lie with who belongs to. If
well,
it's gateway, it's
what we have done on the landscape, unrelated to this in Pelican, is if the Ameriscape contract at that time, we went through our community and said to Ameriscape, what do you maintain? And our philosophy was whatever we had historically maintained, we were going to continue to maintain. So then we had to get easements from each of the entities that were in violation. If they gave us the easement, we retained it. If they said no, then they were going to have to maintain it. And I guess this comes to the same sort of thing. If someone has historically been maintaining these areas, my nickel is they should continue. If there's an area we haven't done, then we need to talk about that. Now, the other wrinkle in the ointment is I look over this right-hand column, and there's supposed to be a road going up there sometime. That's what I've always been told,
Yeah,
there
that's
will
that-
be a road.
That's that platted tract dedicated in favor of the city, or it's owned by the city.
So,
The road is to the east of the level.
It's right here.
Yeah, so
Well,
she's
I'm-
almost all the way to Gabriel.
It's actually to the west, it's in.
well, I don't know where,
100-foot right away
but
that,
I know we never worried about this because we figured it would be handled when the road came. But it's something that needs to be discussed and come to
so what
accommodation.
Bob and I discussed this afternoon, and what I suggested as a logical, what I thought to be logical reasoning was wherever that conservation area was permitted, if it was permitted as a part of the Gateway PUD or as part of the Pelican PUD, that is where it would fall to. Now, I know Elle told me we've been maintaining 52, nobody has been maintaining 50, we've confirmed that with South Florida, and Gateway Services District is the responsible party for all conservation areas that are on this map. So it's a matter of, is Pelican maintaining it as part of their contract and paying for it as part of their 002, or is Greater Gateway paying for it as part of the 001?
Right, that's summarized. And then the philosophy for me is, as I'm looking at this,
I would
if
say
it's not within the
Gateway.
gate,
I would say Gateway's responsibility financially.
If it's not
under-
within the
if
gate.
If it is under our permit criteria, and we are the one.
Well, if you're using that logic, all of the conservation areas in Pelican would be ours.
no. Inside the gate, Pelican takes care of. That's what we did with methodology for landscape. And that's the methodology I think would apply to this. If it's inside our gate, inside our walls, we keep it.
Is the one that's on tree line in your,
Well, it would have been until we changed outside the gate inside. We don't have anything outside the gate.
So let's look into it and see.
We don't need
To Bob's point, it's not, I mean, we're not talking the
It's
big
not-
dollar amount.
Yeah, but we just need to know.
But we
because
need to be
it's-
consistent.
Clean it
Yeah,
up.
consistency, and then it would happen in review
Well, we
too.
need an answer sooner than later because the ponds committee is trying to go out to bid. I mean, we can always put all of them in and then remove them later, that way with
Absolutely.
pricing.
Yeah.
And the bid contract is kind of different than who's going to be paying them.
Yeah.
We can adjust that. This is not an urgent thing to be resolved, but it's something we should look at.
Yes.
All right, anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Anything? Okay, the only thing that I have is that, and I kind of talked to you about, because if there's any way that Randy can work on putting that out there on social media, some of the big items, the accomplishments that we have been, I care about this little stuff, but like the $1 million grant that we got, I mean, I think that would be nice to be out there for the residents to know.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Absolutely.
necessarily care about the fishing contest, but $1 million grant that we got, that is something that should be pushed out there,
They need to know we are looking at
Yeah.
costs.
well,
That's all.
that's the same thing along with the issue of the park and the bandstand. I've got some real questions on that, is that if we do a survey on that dog isn't gonna hunt.
And,
People don't want it.
and it
Nobody
probably be
shows up.
appropriate to do that. It might delay it a little bit, that might not be a bad idea to do it.
The
And
revenue-
if we do
yeah.
that, we do the district.
Yeah,
Don't exclude Pelican this time.
If we do what?
the survey.
If we do the survey,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so nothing else?
nope,
Go ahead and adjourn.
So
I make
All
some.
right, thank you
I have
guys.
certain, I need
We can have a single Peter, two votes.